Professor.
The competitiveness that came because my dad always had me playing with grown-ups growing up. First varsity game, I had 2 touchdowns, for 100 yards rushing. My first varsity game. Then it just started rolling after that.
And we're live today with James Williams.
How you doing, man?
Welcome, James.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, same here, man.
You know, I gotta tell you, you are first official athlete.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, been around town.
All right, for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into all your fun stuff. So James is a trainer. We know him from our the Absolute Fitness Hood on Wilmington Pike. So this is kind of where, I don't know how long I met you, like a year ago or so.
Yeah, no, it's been like 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how much time do you spend training? And I know we're going to get into your entrepreneur, influencer. You're a round out guy. I'm really interested in learning about your career and what you're doing now. So how long have you been in personal training?
I've been personal training since 2020.
Okay.
When COVID started.
Okay.
I was training athletes, younger athletes at that time. That's how I started. And then I kind of transitioned to a gym just because it was when the winter hit, I had to be inside.
Yes.
So nobody wanted to train outside. So I was like, I got to feed myself.
Yeah. Hey, you be
During the
creative.
winter, you're right.
Hey, I used to, every now and then, I'd be in L.A.
Yeah, right.
train people in the park.
Right.
And somebody come by like, you got a permit?
That's exactly how I started. I started training out of a park, but
Sure.
it was just like footwork and speed work, all the stuff that I learned when I was in college.
Exactly.
And ain't nothing different. I'm just the coach this time.
It's called boot camps.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Back in the day when I was in Chicago, and when it first came out, the boot camps, boot camps were everywhere, all over the city parks.
Right.
And it wasn't until somebody took a notice.
Right.
Oh, you know what? We should make a permit for that. That's, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And that's how that, it's always like,
Try
okay.
to get a piece of what you're doing.
Exactly.
All the time.
It's it's our democratic process, and right, God bless the fact, right, that we can practice determination, free will, right, and manifest destiny.
Right.
We can literally manifest
Right.
anything we want to be and become.
Right.
And that is, we have to do a shout out to the veterans and armed forces,
Right.
and obviously we're here in Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
So, we just want to make sure we educate everyone, and we can realize that obviously Dayton is the home of aviation, the Wright brothers.
Right.
There's some people, talking to some young ones, they had no idea who invented the airplanes.
Right.
You
My wife had to take me to the museum to learn about all that stuff. It was actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get into some more details about you. And so just to remind you, the podcast, obviously, I'm the balance professor.
Right.
So you've seen my work.
Yeah.
Right? Doing it 30 plus years. I train trainers on balance progressions. And you know that obviously every trainer obviously aware of strength progressions.
Right.
Right? And all the, what do you call it? All those little details of who you're dealing with. Who is this? What's going on? How young are they? Are they injuries or they're older? Or what's their history, background?
Right.
And that's those details. And then you have the strength progressions, like, okay, what am I going to have them do?
Right.
And you talked about footwork and mobility,
Right.
and agility and all
Right.
that. And then you get to, now how does balance work in there in terms of brain? And there's 3 systems of balance and whatever. Anyway, so what I'm getting to is, I didn't necessarily want to start a podcast on fitness, but I do talk about it all the time.
Right.
Because I love various stories from various people all around the world in different professions. And this podcast is all about mentors.
Right.
Mentors, healthy lives, and community. And I'm sure you've been mentored. I'm sure you're mentoring. And we mentor people, right?
Right.
Through our business, basically, right? We're a
Right.
coach.
Right.
Life coaches. I don't like that. For whatever reason, I'm not really crazy about that life coach word.
Right.
It's kind of like it's watered down somewhere between a doctorate, that you're actual doctor,
Yeah, right.
and then somewhere between our physicality and that blend of muddy waters of psychological blend of, because if anybody knows, right?
Right.
The mindset and your focus when you're playing,
Right.
in terms of everything that goes on. You have that natural kinetic awareness and abilities.
Right.
I'm sure you were blessed because I know you have quite some stories for me. So what I'm trying to get out of this podcast is to share with my listeners and your listeners and people that are, know about you.
Right.
I'm sure they're interested in like, who's this cat?
Right.
Right? Looking to try to share nuggets of inspiration,
Right.
inspire people, wherever they're at in their lives,
Right.
young or old,
Right.
like push them over the edge, like, yeah, do it. You've been thinking about that for a long time. Do it.
Right.
Or, well, hold on, rethink. Don't make any rash decisions.
Right.
Feel me?
Right.
So that's the whole point of the podcast.
Okay,
So
I got you.
it's a pleasure to have you.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Premier first
Thank
athlete.
you. Yeah, thank you, man.
So, and we have plenty to talk about in the future about athletic performance, and I have some ideas that I'd love to share with you, and we can get into that. But usually, James, where I first start is where were you born, where you call home today, and what was family life, and what was family life like, and what did your parents do?
I'm born and raised in Toledo, Ohio, so just 2 hours away from here. My parents, we had a great family dynamic, honestly. Like, me and my family are super tight knit. And talk to my parents, my brother and sister every day. There's 5 of us.
Yeah, and James, being my goal with the podcast is basically I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to create nuggets of inspiration, of like a moment when people listening to this long form conversation, and maybe it can inspire people to do and act on things that they've been dreaming of, right? So, because I know you have a lot of aspirations, I know you're a go-getter, and I can't wait to get digging in here. So, as I mentioned, right? So, where were you born? Where were you call home today? What was family life like? And, what'd your parents do?
Like I said, I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio. My parents, we got a real tight knit family. Me and my family talk to each other every day. My parents is in California right now, along with my brother and sister. Growing up, we lived in a not okay neighborhood, but growing up, I was close to all my family on both sides. Like, that's a blessing to have, considering it's a lot of families.
Aunts and uncles.
Yeah, very. I've seen a lot of dysfunctional families before, like a lot, and
I will tell you, dude, you don't have to. Those happen everywhere.
Yeah, right. And I'm not saying my family super perfect whatsoever, because we also had our stuff, whatever. But for the most part, like I grew up around a lot of love. My parents, my cousins, grandparents, they all grew up, and my uncles and aunts and stuff growing up. They was all high school sweethearts. A lot of them was. And so, I grew up seeing that. I didn't see a lot of cheating and a lot of, stuff like that. So I always grew up. That's why I'm a one girl type of guy. Like, I couldn't do having 3 or 4 girlfriends. Even being in the Division I and all of that stuff, everybody just assumed that everybody's like that.
Right. That you just run wild. Right, you're a young buck.
Right.
You're stud,
and I told people, like I'm a product of my environment. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I didn't really grow up in that type of environment. And if it did happen, I didn't know about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of people that, blatantly, this happened with my, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't raised around all of that stuff. My dad worked real hard. He worked at this company. It was called M&M back then. And it was, distribution. Distribution. Yeah. I get all tongue tied.
Yeah.
It was this place that gave McDonald's around the whole West Coast or whatever.
Oh, okay. So they sending out all the supply, right? Yeah. All the supplies to make that happen.
Yeah. And then my mom was kind of stay at home, and my dad was making all the money. And my mom, she did a lot for us. She cooked for us every day, and made sure that we was okay. But it's me, my brother, and sister, so we was all we was crazy at the time.
Okay, of course,
of
course.
We grew up with our cousins and stuff. Like, we was really close. And then when I was in let's fast forward, when I was in 7th grade, my parents, my sister was in California. They was flying back and forth because my sister's an actress, dancer, and she do a whole bunch of stuff in the industry right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So back then,
What's her name?
Her name is Catherine.
What's your last name?
Williams.
She married or so Williams?
Yeah, Williams.
Catherine Williams.
Yeah.
Shout out to Catherine Williams.
Yeah. So she go by Mari though.
She goes by Mari.
Yeah.
Is
so
that her
her
nickname?
stage name is Hurricane Mari.
Hurricane Mari.
Yeah.
Nice.
So she my sister one of the best choreographers in California.
Nice, dude. That's
so
awesome.
She was known for being in this group that was going viral all the time when they dance choreography and all of that stuff. So it was super nice. And then my brother Darnell, he was a football player too.
Okay.
And now he going back to school to be electrician, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So we all doing good in our different areas and stuff.
Yeah. So so your sister's a dancer and you guys are athletes. So were both your parents kind of athletic?
Yeah, my dad was all state in basketball.
Oh, really?
My dad was a beast in basketball. He wanted me to be a basketball player first. People don't realize that. Like I was when we.
Where were you? Where were you in the pecking order?
Huh?
Are you a first, second, or third child?
I'm the first child out of three.
Oldest. Okay.
I'm the oldest out of three. So
yeah.
Yeah, and so my dad, he played sports, and my mom was a dancer and a cheerleader and stuff like that.
Okay.
Then too, so
it was kind of like okay.
We got an athletic family. Like I think I'm pretty sure I'm the first one in our family to go to a Division I. I'm pretty sure. I haven't heard of nobody else, but if it is, then I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I'm sure you would have like shot the ship. Somebody would have came at you like, right. Man, right. So, So what was where do you remember, like when you were a kid? Did you, like when you were first going to school and stuff, your earliest memories? Did you ever like think about, like, do you still remember anything you thought of wanting to be as a kid, like dreams as a kid?
Like I wanted to be a football player. Like I've always
from the get go.
I had a football mindset, but my dad wanted me to be a basketball player first. So like we would go to he had me go to the library and get the basketball CDs where they teach you how to. I'll be in the middle of the TV doing all of these basketball like skill stuff. But my dad got me real wounded in a lot of things.
What's your dad's name?
My dad is James Williams too.
Okay, shout out to James Williams Sr.
Yeah.
Okay, I would tell you that. I mean, just think about it for a second. Just think about that. You're that young.
Yeah.
You know you want to do that. Yeah. You're inspired to be taught by your father.
Yeah.
You probably did really good in hours because it's easy to have the basketball in the living room easier than football.
Yeah, right.
And your hand skills, dude.
Right. My hand-eye
coordination.
Everything.
That's brilliant.
It worked. And like me being older, I see all of that stuff coming to like I'm like my dad had me doing all types of stuff. Like even when I was younger, even if it was playful, it was me still working on some type of skill.
Right.
And that's what I do with that's what I did with my son.
You making it fun.
Yeah, making it fun. So, because you don't want to force nothing, and because
of course, playtime.
Yeah, right. Me growing up, I've really like observed a lot and seen what work and what don't work, and then like even with my friends, I see how their parents was and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, right.
So I always paid attention to that, and I was always aware of my surroundings when it came to that.
So
stuff.
were you do you remember how old you were when you kind of came aware of like, whoa, my dad's. Well, my parents, shit, and like compared to like what was going on and the energy of like other fathers, right, integrating with their sons.
Right. So my dad was real young. Okay, because when they had me, my dad was 17. My mom was 18. I couldn't even imagine having kids at that age.
Right.
But back then, it seemed like it was normal.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody had a kid at that age in high school.
Yes.
Taking their kids.
Absolutely.
Taking your kid to high school is crazy. But my parents was young, so like even when I was in high school, my dad was only in his early 30s, you know.
Okay.
So like my dad was only still like 34, 35 when I was in high school. So like whenever I would like want to go play basketball or something, my dad was able to do everything with me. I remember my whole childhood, my dad being able to just like I was racing him all the time. He'd beat me in everything.
Sure,
and
but he wanted to get
yeah. That's what got that competitive edge out of me. Like I couldn't stand my dad when it came to that.
Especially probably when you got to like 12 or 13.
Yeah, right.
You're like probably like,
oh, right. When I got bigger,
yeah.
and I was able to jump faster, run. Oh, I mean, jump
What
higher, run
what
faster.
what was that age that you finally beat him
Oh,
and you left him in this?
it was
smoke?
it was high school. I remember like it was yesterday. It was my freshman. I think it was right before my freshman year. I was moving.
That's great.
Oh, I was like, oh yeah, nah, you're not. Basketball still was a little challenge still.
Yeah.
Because my dad was really like that in basketball.
Yeah.
But but I didn't even realize I wanted to be like a running back until like I'll be younger and they'll just give me the ball. We just running and I'm just juking whoever could try to.
Reach
You know
out.
what I'm saying?
A pump.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what the pump is for? Because we have something in common.
Yeah.
Look at that painting right there. Love play. No,
Right.
up top, right there. No, right there, up to your side.
Oh, okay.
See that love play? No, right there, love play.
Oh yeah, love play.
Yeah,
right here,
love
yeah.
play, right? And we totally scored with our fathers,
Right.
Right, the
Right.
energy they brought, right?
Right.
My dad was an artistic side. He loved to play in the arts,
Right.
and he never was a real athlete.
Right.
He was a writer, and he saw some of my skills.
Okay.
Okay. And so those natural traits, right?
Right.
I'm sure a
Right,
father,
right.
right? And you're going to see those same things in your son.
Right.
So we scored, dude. I mean, this is unusual. When I grew up, my neighbors literally looked at my father like he was weird.
Yeah.
And I always like on the surface, because listen, the majority kind of rules in a sense of groups, right? When you have vibes of energy and you have an individual that's really unique,
Right.
and maybe says something or can do something others can't. Right. And then the masses, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, if they don't understand it, what the beauty of with side of your father, right?
Right.
Everybody understands a badass athlete.
And considering
But an artist, no, not so much.
And considering my dad was he never even met his dad. Like my dad never met his dad. And one thing that I always took serious and didn't take for granted is that fact. Like my dad is here with me, and he had me in high school too. So like he had aspirations to go to college and did for like 6 months, and then he dropped out because I was here though. But that's one thing when I was kind of old enough to understand like what he did and sacrifice. It made me want to like I need to pay him back for this. Even though it wasn't my fault that I was here, but still, yeah. But at the same time, I took that, like, considering my dad never had a dad. He stopped everything to be able to be with us.
Excellent.
You know what I'm saying? My dad always, like me, my brother or sister, always was there for us in everything that we did.
Is he in Toledo?
No, he's in California.
Okay, what part of California?
Burbank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, double shout out to James Williams Sr.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like that kind of, that right there is a super big nugget.
Oh yeah.
To be able to stand up,
yeah.
you take responsibility.
He came to he made sure that I was out on all the camps, even if we probably couldn't afford it at the time. He made sure that I was in him.
Yes.
Made sure that I was, my dad invested in like
staying busy, keeping you busy,
keeping me busy.
Yep.
I didn't like my parents wouldn't. I had my parents was real rounded when it came to parenting. Like they wasn't soft on parenting, but they wasn't. It was free range, but I got my boundaries. But make sure you follow my rules.
They had a really nice ebb and flow for you.
Yeah, right. Because they wasn't too strict or whatever. Like I could go out. When I was in high school, I did whatever. I just had to be back home at a certain time.
Sure.
And stuff like that. They kept stuff in order, but at the same time, like if it came to stuff that you do in high school, if somebody experimenting on smoking and drinking or something like that,
right.
My parents always was like, look, they knew it would happen, but they was just like, just make sure like if you leaving a party or something, you ain't trying to drive, or you know somebody that drink, or they trying to drive, call us and we'll come get you. You ain't getting in trouble.
And you know why that became so easy and such a fluid transition into your getting older?
Right.
It's because at a young age, you were so engaged, entertained, intrigued, and informed, and trusted, and they felt they trust you, and they gave you those abilities, that responsibilities early, for you to do that. So that's awesome.
And they never really tried to do nothing for me. Like I could call when I went to college, I would call them and be like, oh, how to do this? Like if it came to like the first time I owned my own car. Yeah, bought my own car. It was like $2,000, a real beater. It was a Honda Civic, 1998.
Were you in California or Toledo?
No. At this time when I was in college, I was in Washington.
Washington State.
Yeah,
Washington State.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to get to that part.
Yeah, for sure. So now, let me ask you, so your school, do you remember any teachers that really stand out to you?
Oh, good question. Did I have any? I had quite a few actually. Like, it was so much different from the transfer from Toledo to California. Because
okay. And how old were you what time you went from Toledo to California?
That was when I was in 7th grade.
Oh,
I did
okay.
like I did like probably 2 or 3 months in 7th grade when my parents, so they was in California for about probably 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 or 5 months, probably something like that. I can't remember, but exactly. But they was there with my sister for about 3 or 4 or 5 months.
And you were back in Toledo with
and
family?
And we stayed. Me and my brother were staying with my grandma at the time. She passed away, but
God bless.
we was staying with my grandma at the time, and my sister had a whole bunch of auditions and opportunities there, so they went down there.
How old was your sister when she started getting some action?
My sister was probably 5, 6.
Really?
Yeah.
She was just a little natural?
Yeah, she was you wouldn't even believe how she was dancing when
Okay.
she was that age. It was my sister's
Wow.
we always call her a dance mutant. Because she would look at a
choreography piece?
Choreography piece, and
Yeah.
literally look at it one time and do it exactly the way it's supposed to be in her own way.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Sure. You know what, James? What's her name?
Her name is Mari.
Mari?
Yeah.
Love to have Mari as a virtual guest.
Yeah, she got
She
a lot
sounds dynamic.
She's been on Tyler Perry movies. She's
nice.
been in, she did her first movie was actually a voiceover part in Tyler Perry's cartoon.
Oh, nice.
It came out in 2000. I think it's 14 or 15.
Good for her. Love
Yeah.
success stories, especially out there.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot. She's a vet when it comes to all that stuff. So
Okay.
it's she's doing real good.
Sweet. Now what's that the teacher? Do you remember the teacher's name by chance?
The teacher,
The one that kind of stood out and really caught your attention at a certain time, or elementary, high school, college?
Her name is Miss Washington. She was probably one of the only. When I got to California, she was probably my only black teacher, right?
Okay.
And she used to keep, I'm saying that because she was the one that stood out the most, just because she kept me in check. Like, I was always a class clown type of kid, and you know me. When I go anywhere I go to, I always want to, have a laugh with people. I love to be, I just love to have a good time.
Dude.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Another one, man.
Yeah.
We're
And
birds. We're birds of a feather.
Yeah, that take you a long way. I can tell you right now, because when I was in school, any school that I've been to,
yes,
I was the class clown, but I also was best friends with the
a bunch of people.
receptionist.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
The principal.
Yes.
The kids don't understand right now. Like that turned that D+ into a C real fast.
Yes,
they like you.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But like, I'm gonna get back to Miss Washington. But
yes.
When I was in California, because it's a couple other teachers too. I just can't remember them because it was 8th grade. But when I was in Toledo, I didn't have teachers that wanted to do one-on-one with me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, were they busy? Were they big classes?
No, like I had an IEP, which is in special ed classes. Okay, so back then, like,
what's an IEP?
IEP, I forgot the term of it though, but it's basically something you get accommodations for people that learn a little bit slower or need accommodations for the
got
stuff.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, special needs.
And,
education, whatever.
And so
it's all relative.
I tell people all the time, like, that don't necessarily mean you in a classroom with like kids that's in wheelchairs and stuff like that. I just learned slower.
No, of course.
And that, we had a lot of kids in my class that didn't want to do nothing. We was all just bagging on each other, just completely just not caring about school at all.
Right.
Like I said, you're a product of your environment. So
I will tell you something. Listen, you're probably, I know from me for sure, I was that guy, dude.
Yeah.
I was the guy that was a class clown, was liked by the administrators, whatever teachers and everything, and it was like I was always running to be in the know or the now, and it was probably the ADHD.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what's crazy? Everybody got ADHD, some type of form of ADHD. Because let me tell you, the kids that grow up and they got straight A's and B's,
Yeah.
and they just smarter than whatever. They go
Right.
to college. A lot of them go to college and then get a degree and don't even know what to do with that degree, and then not even
Right.
doing nothing they doing
Right.
that they wanted
Right.
to do. You know
It's
what I'm saying?
where you talk about that practical application
Yeah, right.
of interfacing with the
Right.
public, because in order for you to be successful
Right.
with anything, you have to interface with the public to what degree.
Right, and I was a visual learner. I didn't learn that till I was like later.
Same here. Same here.
High school, and like I said, when I was in Toledo, it was the teachers that was literally just they wouldn't have no tolerance for nothing, and they'd just send you away.
Right, because number one, they really didn't know.
Yeah.
Another level, they can maybe not care.
Right.
Maybe they weren't passionate. They didn't want to be lifelong teachers. Maybe it's just a job.
I had teachers walk out the classroom and be gone for days, and then the dean would just come in and just sit there and watch us because they needed an adult in the room.
Yes.
So a lot of that time, I wasn't learning anything.
Right.
Like people don't. I would tell people all the time. It ain't like I'm just like I'm not. I don't want to use the term stupid, but we didn't learn nothing at that time.
It was like you were getting a justified babysitter,
Yeah,
okay?
literally,
right?
That's what it was.
And entertaining you,
Yeah.
okay? And you know what that was? That was mediocrity.
Right.
That was them just trying to hold their operation going forward.
Right.
And listen, and what's a travesty in this country is our public education system is so underfunded.
Right.
Teachers are so underpaid,
Right.
which is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Right.
And that shouldn't, right?
Right.
To be able to find passionate teachers, you will keep them all if
Right.
you pay them enough.
Right.
And you create an atmosphere, right? And when we have that breakdown, the stress, the anxiety, the depression, then you add on the typical, right? Most kids, right, have some form of
Right.
ADHD or
Right.
whatever, or whatever little challenge.
You know what's crazy? Everybody do.
Right? And so then combine that with? You combine that with like, hey, right to bear arms.
Right.
Why do you think we have such a craziness going on? It wasn't just COVID. We were on a tipping point. COVID tipped us over.
Right.
We were on, it was like if you imagine like a martini glass,
Yeah.
and you're filling it. You know how you need to keep it short, right? So you can kind of swirl it, whatever. It was filled. It was being filled. And that's my analogy, being filled. And it's just like, this is, right? Guns, lack of good public education, right? The funding, there's all the money going to, we need to have defense, but come on.
Right.
All that money spent that we throw around the world, we're not, right? And we wonder why we have collapse of families and children, right? Being so distracted and not learning and not having attention. They're playing video games and shooting people in the games when they're young. That's crazy, dude.
Right.
That's like a form of, I think that's just kind of like a form of insanity of us as a society.
Right.
So I completely relate to what you said about I had a teacher in high school, dude. He was a science teacher. He would literally, like, every day, he would give us something to do, walk out, and even during tests, he'd just literally walk out, and he'd come back, he'd smell like bourbon or something. And it was like, we just all shoot the shit. We're passing our papers all around, getting our tests done, and it was kind of a joke. So, there you
Right.
go back to, right, when you can be nurtured like you were,
Right.
and you have this talent,
Right.
and all this superficial bullshit of our
Yeah.
education where the
Right.
grades, my best grades were only in 2 subjects. Like, well, 3, I'd say. Art, because it was visual, like you said, visual learner. Most people are visual learners. Social studies, all the pictures of the Boston Tea Party,
Yeah,
pouring
right.
tea into, right? And writing, but only creative writing. Like my mechanics, like knowing what a preposition is and a period goes and commas and
Right.
punctuation structure. If you see all my paintings, they're all free-flowing line graphic, harsh stuff that's bold, that are not like an architect. You
Right.
feel me? So those where my natural talents lied. And my father, and just like your father with your athleticism, was able to see that early and keep you busy. So now, of course, that sounds like you put all your focus in your teens and your 20s. into playing football?
So like, I started off playing when I was 5 or 6, and
What was the position you always?
they had me. Yeah, they had me at. I was a I was a linebacker and a DN at one point. I didn't even play running back. A defensive end.
Oh, defensive end.
Yeah.
I used to be a defensive end.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I did that, and I was playing running back when it came to like playground stuff. Like that's how I got good.
Yes.
Like,
of course, street ball.
I was street balling. We'd be in the middle of the street playing, tackling full on. Like I used to live at the Boys and Girls Club back then, and so we used to always play tackle football in the gym a lot. So we used to do that, and I didn't start really getting a fair shake at running back until like probably before I left Toledo actually.
Okay.
Like, I was probably 8 or 9.
This was high school?
No, this was when I was in junior high.
Oh, in junior high.
Yeah.
Yeah, high school. You were in junior high.
Junior high,
like
yeah.
10th grade or 11th grade?
Oh, no. Junior high. Me and my wife had this conversation the other day. No, junior high, when I say junior high, is from 6 to 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
got it.
so when I moved to
that's
California.
that's kind of considered elementary school.
Yeah, so it went elementary, junior high, and then high school.
Got it.
And so in junior high, I was in 8th grade, and that's when I kind of got my fair shake when I got to California.
Yeah.
When they was like, "No, you're gonna be running back."
He's
right? Playing running back.
Yes.
And then running back kind of took off for me there. Then my dad really started helping me, perfect my craft when it came to that. And my dad made sure that I was well-rounded in everything, like catching, balance, speed, all of it. And he had me do training for it. That's when I, started doing a Vertimax myself. This is when it kind of started getting a little bit popular at that time.
Okay.
And
now, what year was that?
That was in 2012.
Okay.
2013. Yeah.
Okay. So let me
freshman, sophomore in high school.
Let me ask you. So do you remember any really standout coaches that taught you that like put some kind of mindset in your head?
Oh yeah, my coach. His name is Coach Burchard. Call him Coach Brew. He was
Coach Burchard. Shout out to Coach Burchard.
Yeah, he was coaching. He was the offensive coordinator at the time at Burbank High School, and his brother, he played at Washington State actually, and he played in professionally, and so Coach Brew he taught me a lot, like as far as being a running back and kind of. Teaching me all the basic things that I needed to learn, and even just like as a person, he was my teacher too. At one point, in economics.
Okay.
Yeah, he was my economics teacher too. So
sharp.
Yeah,
okay.
So that was gonna be an A automatically anyway.
And that was now that was that high school?
Yeah, it was high school. Yeah.
Okay. So then you tell a story about like okay. Do you remember? Okay, so it's interesting for me. At what age and where was that location where you're like, somebody finally pointed you out and like, then it was like running back from there on, right? It was after your position.
Oh yeah, it was 8th grade.
8th grade.
8th grade. Yeah, and so
was that the same coach that recognized that?
No. So
who recognized that?
This was my very first coach when I was in 8th grade. It was playing for the Burbank Vikings. At this time, at the time when I met him, me and my family was homeless at this time.
Oh goodness!
And so we was just coming from Toledo.
Right, you just got there. I was gonna say, like you said, you moved in 7th and you was your 8th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents actually came. They flew to Toledo, picked me and my brother up, and we drove to California.
Right.
Okay. And so when we got there, my dad had just literally sacrificed everything that he had to make all of that happen. Because, like I said, when I was in Toledo, it was a gang affiliated environment. Like one summer we got our house broken into like 7 times.
Oh my goodness.
Type of stuff.
Right.
And so, we got to California. We was living out of our car, and we was living in and out of hotels before my dad got to find his job.
Sure.
And all of that stuff. And so we was sleeping at this park one time. We was in a Trailblazer. It was all 5 of us.
Okay.
And everything that we had was in this Trailblazer.
Right.
It was in the back, and then you know what I'm saying. It was insane, honestly.
There's a nugget there, okay?
Yeah.
And for you young people, and everybody pretty much knows this. They've been around for a while. It's like you get it done.
Right.
you do what you have to make a change. There's strife, there's work, there can be suffering, there can be all kinds of misfortune along the way. But when your mindset, right, you're determined. It sounds like you're both your mom and your dad were very determined to get it done, and that's just that reality. That's a beautiful story.
Right.
The fact that and now you're here,
and that's why we're so tight. Like I used to tell people this all the time. I've been told this story a million times, and I tell people all the time, like me being older and living a little bit more, and the stuff that like I'm having to do as an adult and being a dad.
Sure.
Like it's just. Like at that time, I can't even believe how strong my parents was at this time. Like even in their marriage, you know what I'm saying? Because that can't be easy,
right? You
know what I'm saying?
And they probably were smart enough or aware enough to, if they had any kind of disagreements, to limit how much you get exposed to,
right?
Because you don't want to freak kids out,
right?
And unfortunately, that happens all the time.
And my parents did a great job in like keeping us grounded. Because like I said, I tell people this all the time too. Like you wouldn't even know we was homeless if you knew us. Like we went on with the day. Like even though all that stuff was going on, we still tried to find some type of joy in the day. Like
absolutely,
my parents would take us to the park, and with me, we'd be playing. Me, my dad, and my brother be playing basketball. We'd be doing something around the park, just athletic wise. My sister was still in the play at this time. She was in this. It was called Hip Hop Wizard of Oz. I remember this like it was yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And it was a lady that put this whole play thing together. She was getting paid for it. And, you know, it was, they had some celebrities playing in that play and all stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it was like, at that time we was, you know, traveling a lot. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Traveling a lot, around California a lot for those plays. And me and my brother just be at a park close by while she rehearsing.
Oh, right.
They would be rehearsing all day.
Sure.
And my dad, my brother be sitting there or playing, you know, basketball or playing whatever. But at the same time, that just kept us so much closer. My dad did what he had to do. I had to see my dad really swallow his pride because he was making a lot of money back in Toledo.
Yes.
He was just going all the time at the time.
Right,
like, he was working 12 hours a day, 13 hours a day.
Yes.
You know, so a lot of time he'd go to work before we go to school, and then he'd be coming back when we already in bed.
Right.
You know, and so, but he was doing what he had to do. But then when we got to California, we didn't have everything that we had before.
Right.
You know, so we had to really scratch our way from the bottom. And then
it's called hustling, kids.
Yeah. Oh,
You gotta hustle.
Hustling.
Yeah.
And
that never stops. I don't care where you are in your life, in your career. If you want something, if that's important to you, the hustle was what that work ethic.
And so
right?
I see my dad have to really like he sacrificed a lot, and I see what my parents did. So that kind of made me just that just drove me just like a million times more than I was at a younger age.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was aware of what was happening, but then it felt way better because my mom and dad didn't make us feel bad. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I was in a sense of like, making us feel sorry for ourselves and stuff. We was always in the church. We got this
staying positive.
Yeah, right. And so when I was in 8th grade, we got in this program called Family Promise, and we was in this program with like at this time it was about 5 or 6 other families. Right after school, and these are strict rules too. It was crazy.
Sure.
So like right after school, we had to meet at this like house, all of us.
Yes.
And that's where we did whatever for like between an hour or two after school, and then we had a car already, but. We had to shuttle to this a different church every week. So we'd go to a church and stay there all week, have to pack up everything. We was in an air mattress in a nursery or something like that, sleeping there, eating there, and all that. They had volunteers come out and do that stuff. And the only time we got to leave was when I got to football practice.
There you go.
So like, it was a whole bunch of stuff that I was going through that people didn't even know about until I spoke out about it when I got to college.
Okay, so listen, This is I believe it's a nugget, is that structure. Okay?
Right, yeah.
Children, obviously, we need structure.
Right.
It's great that to be given structure and having a passion.
Right.
Identifying a passion, that individual child.
Right.
It's even more a blessing to have parents that are able to provide both the structure and a semblance of order.
Yeah.
And then nurture that talent. You're like obviously your sister.
Yeah, and it teaches you how to value a dollar for sure. Like
Right?
people need to. It's a lot of people still to this day. I know that's like 30, 40, even some older than that. Just super frivolous with money,
Right?
And just take it for granted. And
Right.
I don't like to take, like with my family now, I don't want to take nothing for granted with my family. You know what I'm saying? Because I got my own set of kids now.
That's a beautiful thing.
And, yeah, right. And so me just seeing my parents, see how they, like I had to see my mom cry sometimes, but that was a hard situation. But it wasn't as hard as people would think for us, just because like me and my family, we just needed each other. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, we used to like every Friday, my dad used to take us to Blockbuster and Blockbuster's out.
Sure.
We would watch all these super funny movies.
Yeah.
Or whatever. My parents showed us a lot of examples of stuff through movies.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like, oh, you wanna be in a gang? All right, watch this.
Right.
Oh, you want this to happen to you just to be in the game? You want the gentleman to jump you or something like that? And like I was like, see, like I told you, I'm a visual learner. My parents didn't just have to.
They probably go, see that? You don't want to do that.
Yeah,
do you?
right.
No,
and
Dad.
I was like, no, they just had to show me beyond scared straight one time, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Right. So so there you go in terms of movies.
Right.
Okay, movies are every person's easier to experience book.
Right.
Because every single line in that movie was written down somewhere. And so I bring this up every now and then because, ultimately my father was a writer. I got into the visual arts and I started like drawing at a very young age. And then I got into painting and I was into music heavily. That was probably my main kind of passion when I was really young, looking back, and for whatever reason, I was able to fulfill it completely. But I came pretty damn close. We're running sound and bands in the city and whatever in Dayton here. But getting back to what you talked, I was talking about when I lost my thought. What were we just talking about? We were talking about your parents' struggle. Your work ethic, that structure and nurturing your energies, and it basically, think about it when you see somebody with a dog that's not properly trained. That dog hasn't been given the proper structure and dynamic to make it like social and act accordingly. And it's the same thing with human beings. So, with that kind of cohesiveness and seeing those movies, right? And if you ever thought about like trying to write a book, you ever attempt to sit down and just write, either on a computer or by hand with your, whatever, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, writing a book, that's one of the things on my bucket list.
The same here. I want to do the same thing, yeah.
So it is difficult, but think about it, right? When we both agree that we're visual learners, and most people, right? Why are podcasts so cool? Podcasts at first, like, I can be doing something else and I can listen.
Right.
I don't have to use my eyeballs and function.
Right.
I can do stuff, and it's like you take it in. Now, on a brain level, on a neural level, you will remember. I'm sure you will remember if you listen to a podcast you really love, just audio, and you're out doing something fun, or just like a menial task. Those thoughts that you get, the thoughts of inspiration that you achieve and acquire, you'll be remember them while you're raking your leaves outdoors. You always associate that with a physical activity, and the brain really, really retains like that. And there's a lot been studies in learning of active learning. When you're doing repetitive motion, right? We know we have to repeat things. Like if somebody doesn't do if you're running a play, and the guard keeps not pulling correctly or right, his timing is off. Got to do it again, right? Do it again, until it's down. Right. So my point is getting back to the movies and how your parents were like, okay, see that, and they, fortunately, it hit with you, and now you're going off, and this amazing athlete, your dad. I gotta give a shout out to your dad again, because those hand skills and eye coordination is probably priceless in terms of really the practice and neural adaptation. But so let's get into how was your life? How's your life as an athlete compared to your life after? How's your life as an athlete compared to life after? So, okay, wait a minute. Am I saying that right? So,
how's my life as an athlete compared to how my life is after being an athlete?
yeah, like, so no, you were an athlete. Tell us about your transition to when you like go, oh my gosh, I'm a really athlete getting at it. Where you were at? Washington State, you mentioned?
No, so everything started when I was in 8th grade. So when I did way better than I thought I was, and at running back when I was 8th grade, and so Coach Brew had been watching me at that time too, because I was going to Burbank High School, and so I got to Burbank High School. We went 10-0 my freshman year, Ooh. And I had over like 2,000 yards rushing, like 40 touchdowns.
Oh my gosh,
it's not even fair type thing, and so and I'll tell people this too, like. Yes, it's genetic too, but my dad had me doing stuff well before anybody could even think. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he was teaching me all of that stuff anyway, and that's why I was good at everything, because my dad was he would literally be doing it. We'd be playing tennis, we got some rackets from somebody. They gave us some tennis balls, and the times when we was at the park when I was in 7th grade. We was playing tennis. We was playing basketball. We was playing. Me and my dad would play against other dudes in the park, and my dad
kinetic awareness cross training.
Yeah, right. And so he was right. And my dad was making it. Didn't seem like he was forcing me at all.
Of course,
it was
just having
fun thing. Oh, I bet you I beat you. This. Man. All right.
Got your juices going.
Got my juices going every single time. And me growing up, he used to take me back to his old high school. He used to play at, and I used to meet all the players all the time, because he was a state championship team back then.
Nice.
And I'll be going to the open gyms, and my dad would beat me all the time, blocking my shots all the time. I'm like, dude, I couldn't stand playing this dude. And I was like, when I get older, it is bad for you. and so
that's funny.
But yeah, so everything started when I was in 8th grade, got to high school, and then the summer before I became a sophomore, I was playing with I started getting some play with varsity.
Okay.
And so then I was,
Do you remember how tall and how much you weighed at that time?
At that time when I was probably 5'8", probably 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, how much you weigh?
Probably 175.
Okay.
170.
You weren't small.
Yeah, no. I was big compared to a lot of people in my class, but I was trying to fight. I was trying to fight for a spot over this senior the whole summer. I was doing decent. I was, like I said, the competitiveness that came, because my dad always had me playing with grown-ups growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Did you have on that senior that you were competing with?
Oh yeah.
Did you have your like, you visualized that it's your dad? I'm gonna
yeah, no.
You're like, dude, I'm a lion. I'm gonna come after you.
My dad definitely
prey.
instilled that in me. But yeah, like that. Yeah, awesome. Exactly. So he was playing running back. I was playing running back or whatever. So the first game of the season, my freshman year, that I got put on varsity. Okay, and I thought at first I was gonna be second string. My coach told me I was going to be playing anyways, regardless. But how this kind of ended up happening was the senior got involved in a fight that day. He didn't even fight. He was trying to break it up, and he ended up getting suspended.
Oh my gosh! Because he was just trying to be a good guy.
Yeah. He's trying to.
Do you remember that guy's? Do you remember that guy's name?
His name was Joe Argenziano, I think.
Say it again.
Joe Argenziano.
Joe Argenziano.
Yeah.
It sounds sounds Italian.
Yeah, I think he Armenian, I think.
Oh, well, whatever. Shout out to Joe, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe.
And so all of a sudden you get put in.
So he told me I'm starting, so I'm like, I'm like nervous, whatever. First varsity game, I had 2 touchdowns, for 100 and over 100 yards rushing. My first varsity game. Then it just started rolling after that.
Right. And You're in, buddy.
Then from my freshman year to my senior year, I was, I had first team all everything, in any category. But
this was all football then.
Yeah, all football. So I stopped playing. I played basketball my freshman year too.
Okay.
And so I stopped playing the only thing I did was track after football.
Excellent.
Because I needed to get faster. I got caught a couple times my freshman year, and I was like, no, I need to get better.
Yes.
I always understood.
That's smart, dude.
I always understood at a young age what I needed to work on. Because some people don't. I just did my first year of coaching last year, and some kids, it's insane. It's nowhere near like it was before. Like. From what I was seeing,
now I got to tell you something because I have that. I got Michael Jordan's signature on that shirt behind you, and my first mentor. I'm going to mention track and field. Okay, I played Pee Wee football when I was in 5th grade, but leading up to that, dude, I was a hell of a street ball wide receiver back in the day because I had a neighbor, Terry Connor. Shout out to Terry Connor, lives in Alabama now. He had an arm, dude. He was a pitcher in baseball, but man, he was the token quarterback. And so I had a few other guys out, right? And we'd run, right? Yeah. 3-on-3 or whatever. And he's like, okay, you're either the DB or the receiver, right? And we just go back and forth. And we played different games. I love that, right? Well, I played Pee Wee football. And what I'm getting back to is that was my only organized sport. Mm-hmm. But I was ultimately really attracted to music, but the street ball was like, it was play, fun, and engaging, whatever. And then in Chicago, when I moved to Chicago in 1984, so I'm like your parents' age, or probably maybe older than your parents. Anyway, my first mentor who gave me a job was a track and field guy, an exercise physiologist, and he prepped me and he put me on the track, dude. And I was running sprints with fairly almost flat feet. But he taught me proper stretching, warm-ups, right? Dynamic stretching and running sprints and, between what's difference between sprints and circuit training and blah, 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 right? Like maxing out. So I get this great education and I'm like 28 at that time. So that was that's still with my range of motion, my flexibility at 61. People look at me like, oh my gosh, right? Touch my toes. Right. I can put the back of my hands on the floor.
Yeah, right.
Right? So that's huge. But anyway, in terms of your speed, you did such that cross training in your dad. So you go forward with your football, and you integrate track and field. Did that track and field supplemental training carry with you during your whole career through high school and college, or
I did track for 2 more years, but it got me fast and everything. So I did this thing called Vertimax, and you heard of that before. So it's a Vertimax training. It's resistance training. So you get on this platform and you hook this harness up to
yes.
Yeah. So it's all resistance training. And so I started doing that after my freshman year. My dad found
explosiveness.
And I needed to be more elusive and a lot more faster.
Yeah.
But being in track just helped my form and helped me be able to get my stride and get looser and stuff like that. And so my dad bought the Vertimax. He had me going to somebody 3 times a week for 3 or 4 months before my sophomore season. Sophomore season, complete night and day difference from my freshman year to that season.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
So that's when you came in and you had the opportunity to take out the senior, ran the first 100 plus yards.
So I did that, and my coach was like, yeah, you're going to be starting.
Okay.
And so then I went crazy the rest of that season. My junior year come, my dad bought one. He bought a Vertimax. It was Vertimax is expensive, okay? So he invested a lot in that, and I used it all the time.
Nice.
And my dad made sure that I was, that's one thing that I just my dad was incredible when it came to being able to, be present and being involved in everything that I was doing.
Commitment for you, really compliment your world.
Right, and he started working he did a graveyard shift, working, and so he can, be there every single day doing everything with us.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? And I know my dad had to sacrifice a whole lot of, time and all of that stuff. So, my dad growing up was, a big part of everything that I was doing, honestly.
Okay.
So then when football happened, I got my first offer my junior year. It was right in mind you, I'm the first athlete in my school's history to go to a Division I. and do what I was doing at
No,
that
okay,
time.
so now, which high school was this?
This is Burbank High School.
Burbank High School.
Yeah.
And this, you were the first athlete to go to a Division I school?
And there's been a lot
and
of...
they found you, like a scout found you?
Yeah, they found me, and so they called me. I think my first offer was from Cal. I think that might have been my second offer though, but it wasn't people getting offers like that. Like they didn't really ain't seen that before. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so then by the time right before the it was the summer. It was like 9 Division I coaches that came on the field and was watching us.
Okay.
So I'm the type of individual that was like, I told my teammates, I was like, we got all of these scouts coming. I don't want them just looking at me. This is an opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, you guys get your shit together.
Yeah, right.
Or be ready.
I was always the team player.
Nice, man.
I knew that like it was a lot of kids on my team that had parents that was orthopedic surgeons or somebody in the entertainment business.
No, I understand.
Industry, and they all had money. They all knew they was going to college.
I spent time out in Burbank.
Yeah. So they knew they was going to college. A lot of them, and I knew that I wasn't about to go to college to a Division I college if I had to pay for it. No way, because college is. I don't think people can fathom.
It's insane. Yeah.
Like having a scholarship is a complete blessing. No matter how, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
A lot of people, they don't even see that.
There's talent. They're investing in talent.
Right.
That is, you have to have, not only do you have talent, but you have to be organized. And guess what, kids? You have to be socially, what do you call it? Mature,
right.
And be able to understand what work is. And it's not that's just not the celebration. There's more work than you ever imagined ahead of you.
You have to be mentally and physically able to do this.
Right.
Every time I go into contact with any kid, I tell them that. Okay, because I think kids, everybody see the glorious parts.
Surface stuff
about being an athlete. They see the games, they see what you get, the gear and all of that stuff. You working for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be easy at all. Like, I had to really grind to get there. Okay. Now, like going back to my schooling, me having an IEP, I didn't get to learn all the stuff that the gen ed was, learning at the time. So I had to do extra stuff to be able to.
Okay. So you had to kind of catch up.
I had to get 5-6 A's straight across the board to go to Washington State.
Okay.
I made it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Good for you, man.
It wasn't an easy process. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Hey, listen, right? That makes you humble.
Right.
Right. It creates humility.
Right.
And you're an understanding of, again.
Right.
It never stops. Right. Hard work and disappointment and joyous moments, you can make them. Mm-hmm. And they're right. How joyous is a moment,
right,
to be experienced if you haven't, right, really honored that disappointment and like falling down and getting back up and go find that joyous moment, that success.
Right. And going back to your question, what's life like being an athlete to after being an athlete? So being an athlete, like the type of athlete I was very good. Okay, like when I look back at what I was doing in high school, I didn't think of myself like this at all throughout the process, because I try to be as humble as I can. Like my dad ain't never taught me to, be showboating and all that stuff. I never did that a lot. I did a couple times and I got checked for it.
Yeah.
And so I never did it again.
Okay. Well, so, you were on the fine line.
Yeah, right.
And you could, hey, this is natural human condition.
Right.
Right? You don't need to apologize. But, that's actually probably the most human response you can have.
Right.
Let it out.
Right.
You kind of knew, like, Dad was, if he's always checking you.
Yeah, right.
And that's just great. It's like, okay.
Yeah, like my dad was like the type of he was like, if I have a game, I could run for 2,000 yards. No, 500 yards in a game and score 6 times. He'd be like, you could have scored 7 times if you would have cut this. You could have scored, you'd have had 600 yards if you would have cut this way. He always never kept me satisfied in what I was doing.
Okay. So couple things. Couple comments from me. Okay. Because I'm having a great time talking, man. Listen. So, Williams, just like Venus and Sakina Williams, right? Williams, man. I don't know what that was.
Serena and Venus?
Yeah, Serena and Venus, right? Yeah. Anyway, I'm just joking with you. Your last name's Williams. Your dad, right? God bless him. Awesome. I can't wait to meet him sometime. But another thing is that you're creating, things in my head. You're actually I'm going to thank you right now because you're giving me nuggets. And so I have a couple of projects that I'm thinking about working. Now I see it clearly that I have 2 projects that I want to do. One is going to be with you, and I think you might be open to it. We can talk about it. The other one is Larry Pacifico.
Okay.
And shout out to Larry Pacifico.
Okay.
He's the man, great guy. But I just want to thank you because remember I told you about this podcast? It's all about creating nuggets. You just gave me one in this conversation. We'll talk more.
Oh, we talk about it. Okay.
Yep. So how was your experience in college in the NFL? The NFL Combine.
I
want to know about the Combine.
All right, so right before I get to that, it's some adversity I got to talk about before we get there. Okay.
Hey, listen, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's been all roses. Tell me about some little stumbling blocks.
Okay, so first, a little thing about the education part. Okay, I've never been a school person. I always tell kids too, like, I don't want to be a robot when I'm talking to them. I like to be super transparent.
Yeah.
And I tell kids all the time, I wasn't a school person at all, but you have to pass to get to where you're trying to get to.
Right.
So apply yourself a little bit. I had teachers
it's called minimal standards.
Right. And so I was when I was in Toledo, I was getting straight F's and D's, but I also didn't have teachers that was willing to just be one-on-one with me and do all those things. I got to California, literally my life turned around. It was a crazy culture shock. Teachers was actually wanting to work with me and make sure that I was getting what I was doing. Because mind you, about 5, 6, 7 years going past when I was in Toledo, and I'm not learning nothing.
Hey,
every single day it was the same thing.
Yes.
We go to class, fool around every single period.
I hear you.
And
I can only imagine what goes on in these schools, even now.
Right. And so I got to, California, and then I had actually teachers that was really making me focus.
And you were probably freaking out. Like, this is great.
Right. And I was learning a lot. And I started learning. I read a lot of books, way more than I thought I was. They would have us read like a leaflet every week, and then every Friday we have to get on the computer and they quiz us on what we read on that book. And I started reading bigger and bigger books.
Nice.
And I ended up graduating 8th grade with a 3.7, 3.8.
You go, dude.
Yeah. So like
that's the shit there.
Yeah, I went straight F's and D's to graduating junior high with a 3.8. Then got to high school. Did all of that stuff in college. In high school. Yeah. And then that's fast forward. I committed to Washington State early. Everybody was calling me stupid. People was like, "Well, why would you do this early?" Washington State is the only school that I went on a visit on. He was like, "If you go on another," my coach was like, "If you go on another visit, we're not taking a scholarship. We're gonna take it away from you," basically. And so I didn't realize that was a tactic at the time. But,
okay, but I mean, it all turned out.
But I committed to Washington State because that's the only school I felt that was like a lot more personable. Like Coach Mastro, shout out to Coach Mastro, my running back coach. I think he at Nevada now, but he would come down. Him and his colleague, he was a linebackers coach at the time, I think. And they would come down to my school like a couple times, and they come down. We walked through a whole quad, everybody looking at me. It was super dope. Okay. Everybody didn't do that. I think
you probably felt a vibe.
Yeah, I have.
That's like you feeling like right away, feeling like wow, you can feel it.
It was calling me every week.
Yeah,
twice a week.
You ever go and look for like apartments or places to stay?
Right.
And when you walk in. You just know, like, okay, this is it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
When you go in, you're like, that tells you something.
Right. And so, I was after I committed, I was I started to get big headed. I'm 17 years old. I'm one of the top running backs in the state and in the state of California. On top of that, yeah. So I'm just like, oh, I'm the man.
Yeah.
I get to my, and so let me tell you this real quick. So
Okay.
everybody always asks me this. He was like, "Where the name Booby come from?"
Okay, I was going to get there, but you can help me. Okay,
So this is
Booby's your nickname.
This is tying into to the story I'm telling you.
Okay.
So my freshman year of high school, there's a senior. His name Raul Ochoa. Shout out to Raul. He was like, "Bro, you look like Booby Miles." I didn't know who that was.
Booby Miles?
Yeah, that's what the name was. So it's from a movie called Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Football. It's based on a true story. In real life, his name is James Booby Miles. And so I took me and one of my basketball boys. We tried to get some stupid hair because I had a flat top and then he got a Gumby.
Okay, little
whatever.
angle deal.
Yeah. And so then he started calling me Boomy, and I was like, dude, like, why are you calling me that? Like, I didn't like it at first.
Right.
For the longest time. Then the girls started calling me that, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'll keep Booby, whatever.
Okay.
And so I get to my, I actually watched the movie.
All through high school.
All through high school, they called me Booby, right?
Yeah.
And it started my freshman year. So in the movie, Booby Miles he was getting all types of offers and all of these things.
Okay.
And it was the same situation as me. It was crazy.
Yes.
When I started getting my offers. And so in the movie, he tore his ACL his senior year. He tried to come back after 3 weeks, and then he tore it again. And then he went to a JUCO and never played again. And that's the real story. So I get to my...
Just think 3 weeks, dude. That's like crazy.
Right. It's
insane.
insane.
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah,
oh my
what
God.
are you thinking? Go ahead.
So I get to right before my senior year, after I could commit and all of that stuff, a whole bunch of hype around me at this time. So I'm like, y'all got to stop calling me Booby, because this is a real big deal. Like right now I'm committed to a college right now, to Power 5 Division 1.
Who are you concerned about? How you calling you Booby?
Oh, everybody, because in the movie he tore his ACL.
Oh, you didn't want to be jinxed?
Yeah, didn't want to jinx it. And so we got to my senior year, the first game. We won whatever. Had a good first game.
Senior year
high school.
Okay.
My senior year. And I was like, oh, we broke the curse. Because it was the first game where he tore his ACL.
Oh, you got past that game.
Yeah. So the second game, very first kickoff return, they pooch kicked it. I was taken back.
What's a pooch kick?
Pooch kick is when they like
offside kick.
Offside kick.
Yeah. Got it.
So they tried to pooch kick it the first play. It went over one of my friend's head, and I'm like, my teammate's head, and I'm like, dude. And I ran up to it. Everybody jumped on it, whatever. The play is over. Mind you, this team that we playing, I think it was Bell Gardens. They was dirty at the time. And so one of them, after the play, hit one of my teammates, and he fell into my knee. And I got out, and I was turning to go to the huddle. And I got hit. Tore my ACL. And so,
oh my God.
Yeah, so they checked my ACL on the sideline. It was like, this is the very first kickoff return of the game. So
the second game.
The second game.
Oh my God.
The very first kick. I was going to rush for like 400 yards on this team. Because they was already dirty, and we played them a year before.
You had a target on their backs. You were going to eat them up, and they got
goodness.
you like, oh my God.
That team would have got destroyed.
So you were out for that whole game.
Out for the whole game. So then they checked it, and it was because it was hurting bad.
Yes.
Rapidly. My knee got fat.
Yes,
pregnant.
swelling up. Yep.
She checked my ACL. She was like, well, your MCL is definitely torn. That's going to be 3, 4, 5 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever.
Right.
And then she said, your ACL, it seemed like she was timid to tell me because I was already talking about like, damn, this is the worst case.
Right.
So she told me your ACL is kind of loose, but it might be just because of all the inflammation in your knee.
Yeah.
So then a week later, I got it checked, and then we was in the hospital, and the doctor came in just like this. He's like, well, your high school career is over. I was like, oh no. Dad started crying. It was just.
So you tore ACL?
Tore my ACL and MCL completely, just hanging on by a thread. And so we was devastated. But then that was the biggest adversity after me, being homeless and fighting through all the stuff that I got to.
Yes.
Do all the stuff that I had to get to this point.
Climbing the mountain.
Right.
Peaks and valleys.
Right. And then, like I said, I was getting big-headed around that time, too, right before that. And I'm like, I'm about to go crazy this year. I'm about to beat the rushing record, blah, blah,
right.
blah, whatever.
Okay, so what was
what
happened?
I called my coach. I was scared as hell to call him, too. I was like, Coach, I told my ACL. I just wanted to let you know before they got on the media, whatever. He said, that's fine. You just red shirt and get better. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And then that's when I was like, God giving me another chance.
This is the guy in Washington State?
Yeah, my Coach Mastro. Yeah.
Okay.
And this was when Coach Leach was there. He was like, yeah, don't worry about it. We going to, we going to honor your scholarship and all of that stuff. Because I committed early. That's the best thing I could have did because they knew that I was committed to them. So they honored it.
Listen, it gets back to those forming those relationships.
Right.
And you having these opportunities.
Right.
So what was that rehab like?
So the rehab was crazy, but I was determined. So my mindset was on a different vibration.
I have no doubt, young man, that you were not going to let something like that. Okay.
No.
And so how long did it take you to get back onto your feet?
It took me about 8 months to get off the crutches, take off the brace and all of that stuff. The whole rest of the season, and so it's funny. We had a rivalry game, and this is when I was able to run and cut again. I didn't play, but we just went out there for a scare tactic because everybody knew I wasn't playing. I didn't play the whole season.
Right.
The last game of the season, they was
just your presence
shaking in their draws. Because I was to my coach, he finally. I've been bothering him for 2 weeks before that. I was like, because at this time, this is the biggest game in Burbank at this time.
Okay.
So we got we got 12,000 people in there.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the whole city come out and watch. So I was the captain of that game. He let me suit up, and then I warmed up and stuff. I didn't play, but I warmed up because this was my last game, my last rivalry game. So he let me suit up, and I'm like, Coach, I'm about to run up in here. I'm not gonna lie to you. He's like, no, you ain't. You ain't about to run up in there.
You got bigger eggs to fry down in the future.
Yeah, right. And so I'm just super grateful they didn't let me play the way I wanted to, because that would have been just irresponsible of me to do, especially having them giving me a second chance by doing that. Anyway, I get to college. College was at first, oh my God. I called my dad probably a couple months in. I was like, Coach. I was like, Dad, I'm about to come back home. And he was like, where you going to live?
Because of the study?
Yeah, how hard everything was. Training, school, trying to balance all of that the first month or two. Dude, I'll tell people, that's why I tell people you have to be mentally and physically strong. Like when I ask my high schoolers, I'm like, raise your hand if you want to go to college. They all raise their hand. But then they're complaining about not having enough time at home right now. I was like, you're done with school and practice about 5 or 6 o'clock. What are you talking about? You done? I'll tell people like this, my freshman year, this is how my schedule looked. We get up at 5:45.
Yes.
We got to be at the training facility by 6:15. We start our workout. We got our workout for 2 hours. We stretch for an hour, work out for an hour. Right after that, we got 15 minutes to get to class, basically, or less sometimes. And that can be all the way around campus. Yeah. And you can't be late.
You just got to get there.
They had kids. They hire kids that have a whole list of athletes that's going to be in that class with you. And if they don't show up or they late, you don't know who they are either. They the regular students. And they're like, all right, they'll check who late, whatever. They get back to the facility. You up earlier the next morning working out. And then you work out with the team. Anyway, that. And then you got about probably 6 hours of class, 7 hours of class. Right after class, you go to team meeting. Then you go to position meeting. Then you got practice. Then after practice, you got 2 hours of dinner. Right after dinner, you got...
Talk about structure.
Right, structure. And then right after that, after dinner, you got... study hall. Right after study hall, you got a tutoring session for one of your classes. Then you're done with everything about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
And you're exhausted.
And then you got to get up and do the same thing again for 4 years.
hey, listen. When you say, the amount of free time you have, right? And
you get free time, but you don't.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the perception of achievement, right? It's just because you have a natural talent doesn't mean it's given to you.
Right.
There's a lot of work, and you had that adversity that you are 17 years old. You think you're on top of the world. You tear your MCL, ACL at the peak of your high school career.
Yeah.
You're still going. You go there, and you realize, like, whoa. The ACL probably didn't look like shit compared to what you were like, the big picture that you were going forward to.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the next. And so anything worthwhile in life, right, to talk about and to share and to think of, like, be what do you call it? Be proud of.
Right.
It takes work, and your father knows that. You know it now. So it's a great message that you're giving to the kids when you talk to them.
Yeah, and everything that I'm saying is just like all the adversity you're gonna go through. It has to happen. And me being older, everything has to happen. I wouldn't go back and change anything, even though it was the hardest times in my life. In any area, like a relationship or family life, when I was whatever the case may be, me tearing my ACL, all of that stuff is like bumps that had to happen to shape me to the person I am now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And so, in terms of, I consider this a little sliver of a nugget, is that, one of the planes of life is the mystery plane. Like, couldn't you agree that life's pretty mysterious?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you don't know what's going to happen when we get done with this session and walk out the door.
Right, and this is
right. That's part of life.
And this is biblical too. I've been on a real biblical journey and a path for a long time, and just probably this last 4 or 5 years has been I've been this really crazy walk with God. Okay, and when I go back to
for you.
Like, don't lean on your own understanding. Okay, say it in the Bible.
Right.
And you got to trust in God.
So you're probably relating to the stories that you have been you learn that how it relates to your life and how it's very applicable.
And like what I'm telling and what I'm saying now is just like, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. And one thing that I always used to do as a kid too, I used to worry too much. I did it, and I still kind of not as much, but you don't know what's going on. It's ignorant to even think you got 10 more minutes to live. You
right.
know what
Well,
I'm saying?
when you say that you're worried about stuff, that is a sense of that will bring on anxiousness.
Right.
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 And then you combine that like worry with fear. Of like going and doing. And that's why I just had a conversation with my last guest, Terry Welker, shout out to Terry, about like the art. Like, you just do it. If you're an athlete, whatever level skill set you naturally occur, right? If you're passionate about it, just go do it.
Right.
You won't know. It doesn't matter what the outcome. You're not going to be able to determine the outcome. You just have to go do it. And then you take those outcomes as they go, right? Good or bad. Complement your world and like your walk with God and your, that is giving you structure.
Right.
And you have a story like, oh, my story, I can relate to that story that I hear of that's been going on from the beginning of time. And it relates to different kind of like morals and ethics and how we carry ourselves, right? Another plane of life plane is the community ethos, right? We have to be kind to our neighbors. We have to stop at the stop sign.
Right.
We can't just all run through. You have to, right? You have to, there's certain things that we have to understand. There's an understanding and our participation. And fortunately, we're in this place. So tell me, what would you tell your younger self right now? Because I understand that you speak to young kids and try do mentoring and around athletics and just life. What would you tell your younger self now, looking back? Just, like, when you were 17, you're all like,
just to slow down and, like I just said, don't stop being anxious about everything. I was always worried about how the outcomes of everything was gonna happen. Me being a people's person and just kind of just making sure I'm like calm it down a little bit less than I did. You know what I'm saying? Just because like I always saw the good in people, even if people was taking advantage of me.
You're optimistic.
Very optimistic. Like I tried to ignore a lot of red flags in people, and I did that for a while.
Listen, that's a wonderful trait.
Right.
And listen,
it's a gift and a curse.
It's another fist bump. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. Yeah. Well, listen, every gift, right?
Yeah.
can be abused, unrecognized, ignored, or, I don't know, fearful of using your gifts.
Yeah.
So, I hear you. You're just like so much like me. I was that, right?
Yeah.
Want to be liked, ultimately insecurity of like being worried about what's going to happen.
Right.
Anxiousness, which
Right.
creates anxiety,
Right.
which what helped me was through my journey in art. I wanted to really play the drums, dude.
Yeah.
And during those young years, if I would have got the opportunity, my parents couldn't afford to give us all music lessons and stuff, right?
Right.
Or even send us all to college.
Right.
So, I was doing my art, but then I reached out and did the music. I wasn't like, if I beat it on the drums earlier in my life, I would took a different path. But that being said, it was exercise. I started working out when I was 18. And I went to Sinclair and I saw a guy working out in the gym. And I'd gotten heavy when I was a teenager and blah, 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 for whatever, all these reasons that, it's my own story. That I saw this guy working out and like, that's what I want. And I've been working out ever since I was 18 years old. And by the time I was 28, I began a professional career, leaving advertising. My point of this is telling you this is that my anxiousness, I buffered it with exercise and movement.
Right. And that's what football, that's what every sport was for me.
Right. That activity, structure, get your oomph out, get your angst out, all that energy. So it buffers you down so you don't have enough energy. You're exhausted. Right? You're just exhausted because you kept yourself and you channeled that energy that's natural and even more than you need, right? To take into the structure of school. So let's get back to when you're at school. You didn't leave. You had your conversation with your dad. Now you're still on. You stay there. And what happens?
Oh, where at?
At Washington State when you said, "Dad, I'm coming home."
Oh yeah, this is my freshman year. I told him I was coming home. He said, "Where you gonna live?" He said, "You ain't coming home. You about to go and grind that out. What you talking about? You going to school for free?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Dad, this is crazy. Like the coaches is on me all the time, and like I tell people all the time, if he not talking, my coach has seen stuff in me that I didn't see in myself.
Yeah, that's called tough love,
right? And that's what I think a lot of kids is lacking nowadays because they just like the stuff that kids be doing now. I'm like, oh God, like. Just as far as like talking back to your coach and just like whenever stuff started getting real hard, you just want to stop. You just feeling sorry for yourself. There was no such thing as that back then.
Listen, think about it. That's such primal, foundational youth to older person in the community, right? Like, hey, listen, when I was a kid, if somebody was older than me, you called them sir,
yeah,
or or at least you gave the impression that you're respecting them because they were older.
Right.
I don't care if they were a neighbor from down the street that I've never met before. Like, oh, that's an adult,
right?
And this is something that's lacking. And you talk about, it's like it's a generational thing where if kids got, I don't want to say righteous, but if they're not given that structure in that framework, which we were blessed with. Right? Mm-hmm. We see it. You see it. It's like that will affect your ability, right, to take the next step in your life to a mature adulthood and success. Or you're like, oh, poor me, and you walk down the stairs. Mm-hmm. Oh, why am I not been those stairs? But because they, right, in terms of understanding, that basic social, right, structure, respecting hard work and all that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden you make it. You get through and you stay there. What happens?
Hey, I went through the fire. Okay, it's just in every aspect, and it's a lot of times I did want to give up. I'm not one to give up on nothing, no matter what it is. But
I can tell.
Like I grinded it out, and I went through the fire. You know what I'm saying? And like I always tell people this too. Like God got you a seed. God put you on the ground, and He gotta make it rain, make it storm on you for you to sprout into this beautiful flower.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it was in every aspect. Because you were being a freshman again. It's crazy. Like you're a freshman when you get to high school.
Yeah, you start over again.
You grow to be the big dog, and then now you're a freshman again. and now you got to grow to be a bigger dog. You get to the league, you're a rookie. You're a freshman again 3 times in your life at least.
Listen,
when they come to that,
such a blessing to realize, right?
Yeah.
That's a breakdown, and it's that structure of athletics is honored by all of us. Everybody loves to watch, right?
Yeah.
They'd love to play if they could, but that's just such a template for life.
Right.
You know, my nephew Evan Jankowski. Shout out to Evan. Congratulations. He just graduated from Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
With his exercise science degree, and he's making all the preps to go to be a doctor of physical therapy. So he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, right?"
Right.
I'm like, listen, do you remember how nervous you were when you finished Carroll High School and you're going to Ohio State?
Yeah, right.
Now you slayed it. Hey, listen, it's just another chunk on the road to where you want to go. It's just segments.
Right. It's just like when I started my first college game. Like these games it's a game at the end of the day. And you didn't prepare for it. Like when you're in school, you're preparing for whatever you're trying to do in life.
Right.
In football, you got to prepare for it, train for it. Then when the games come, that's supposed to be the easiest part. And when you start thinking about it like that, like you're like, oh, okay. Because I didn't think about it like that. I'm just thinking like, dang, I got to go against these bigger dudes. Like, they faster. They're just as fast. You know what I'm saying? Then you get out there. I start getting loose. I'm like, all right, they can't mess with me now.
Yeah, once you walk the walk.
And I was never like an outspoken person, like when it came to a game. So like if somebody was talking shit to me in a game, I wouldn't say nothing back. I'll just in my head make sure that I made that person miss every single. Linebackers don't hate nothing more than missing a tackle.
Okay? Right.
You make them miss a tackle, I'll let your boy hit me. You ain't hitting me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was petty like that.
Yeah.
I'll make a quick move. Well, I was all instincts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
you realized your power,
right?
Your skills, and you could psychologically and mature enough to know when to use it, how much, just to complement going forward, not being abusive, but like saying like, yeah, you check that out, bud.
Right.
That's great. So what advice would you give kids that are trying to make it in sports, man?
Just don't get in your own head. Like,
see, that's what we've been talking about the whole time, right?
Right.
Your transition.
A lot of kids especially in high school. Oh, when I'm gonna get my offer, you have to be extraordinary to get to a Division I. And nowadays, you're getting paid to go to college now. Like not even just scholarship. You got NILs stuff in the mix now. Now they gonna make it real hard for you to even get to college. I feel like, because
I'm sorry, NIL.
NIL deal, name, image, likeness.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so they got all of that stuff going on now. You got kids making a couple million, a couple 100,000 going to college now.
Right.
So they're not going to, you're an investment now. So, now I feel like it's going to be a little bit harder to get there.
Okay, do you know what's going to happen, right? That when money trickles, right? It either trickles up or it trickles down. So NIL was the trickling down now, which was very appropriate. Almost right in terms of culturally how of technology and use of image and likeness and who's benefiting from people. And they're giving you opportunity, right? Get you to school. There may be more or less opportunities like that, right? In terms of sports, and we know the football's big.
Right.
That it both is huge opportunity, and this with human nature, I'm sure you've seen it, it's a weeding out process that if you give somebody all that kind of money, and they don't have structure, and they don't have a wherewithal to carry themselves appropriately for the long haul, for that next, oh, now I'm a freshman again? Then how many stories have you heard, right? Losing.
A whole bunch.
Somebody told me, what the best thing somebody told me about? Money, right? It kind of makes sense to me. I've never been into a lot of money. I was in a conversation with Larry. I said, you know what, Larry, I think I've been as successful as I've ever needed to be. And I can't even put a value dollar amount on my life. I would never assume that I can put a dollar amount on my life that's like, this is what I need. Yeah. This is what's going to make me whole. But they said that money doesn't change people. Money reveals who they are.
Yeah, right.
And you've foundational things with your walk of God, the stories you relate
all
to.
All the base stuff.
That's exactly. when that's a little shaky, that money flooding down that hill, that water, you're like, oh, I'm going to grab that money and ride that surfboard. And like, wait, no, still need to be climb up against that water. All that money. Like, oh no, I'm going to go take a ride. I've hit it now. If they get too busy with the ride and they don't forget to work, we see that all the time. And that's why it's very exciting. I'm really glad to hear that they are getting recognized for their input, but also just like that controllable factors of like, okay, here we go. You're going to have just as many people washing down the hill as the ones that are going to be climbing up and having more and more opportunities.
Yeah. And so it's just like with younger guys, I'll just tell them like, just stop. Don't be anxious about everything and stay out your own head and just work.
Stay busy.
It sounds cliche, but like, and I heard it a lot growing up, but it's really like that. Like,
right?
You really have to just like not think about none of that stuff and just look at the stuff that's in front of you in the present. If you during a season, there's a lot of high school kids that I work with that's in the first game worrying about if they gonna get an offer or not. Don't worry about the offers.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even worry about like I got offers, after my, junior year, and I was anxious, and I'm just saying, like, being in that, it just stresses you out too much, and it's going to throw you off your game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It goes back to, right?
Yeah.
Foundational and being in the now.
Right.
Right? If you're not working in the now, present day, we wake up every morning, right? We have an idea that we're trying to make a schedule and be on point.
Right.
And when you have nothing to do, it's like going on vacation and having too much free time.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I got to get busy.
College really like teaches you like really for life too. Cause like when you're an athlete, you're getting taught time management because if you being late for class, being late for practice, you get punished for it. It ain't nothing different, nothing more different than going to work. If you miss work or you late to work too many times,
that's a problem.
You're getting fired. You know what I'm saying? It teaches you all of that stuff. And so when I was in college, but like for the message for the younger guys in high school, don't worry about what's going to happen throughout the year. Just stay present.
Yes.
And stay focused on everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it's real easy to get caught up with girls and caught up. Like I heard somebody say this to me before. When I was in 8th grade, he was like, save the little parties for the big parties. And I thought, in high school, you think these parties is just like the biggest things that you can get to.
Of course. Status.
It ain't nothing
social.
compared to when you get to college.
Yeah.
Just grind out, because I probably been like 3 or 4 parties all of high school. Like I wasn't a goody two shoes, but in a sense I was, because I didn't.
You're matured enough.
I didn't go and do all the stuff that I didn't go and do all the stuff that you would be thinking that it would just throw me off my path. You know what I'm saying? I did dumb stuff, but it wasn't to the extent where I was just like getting in trouble all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it goes back to the blessing of our parents and that structure. And
you're a product of your environment. So like in high school, if I could have just stayed away from some people, I would have been a lot better off. You know what I'm saying? Just like if your boys ain't got the same mindset as you,
right?
And they want to go here, and you trying to go there. You gotta sacrifice that friend. It's hard to do because we've been cool since 5th grade, 3rd grade.
Of course.
But if you ain't got a boy, like I had so many guys that knew they wouldn't go on to college, but they always was kind of motivating me too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that motivated me all in itself, because I'm like,
sure,
dude, you going to college. Like, I ain't got that opportunity. I'm about to grind my ass off so I can go.
So I'm sure those are still good friends.
Yeah. And and I'll tell kids too, this is cliche too. You're going to start off with this many friends in high school. And then when you leave high school, it's going to go like this. Like after 5-6 years, if y'all ain't real tight, you ain't gonna hear from them again.
Right. It's the old common line. The old school is, it's the company you keep.
Right. It's the right. And so make sure that company is people that's gonna help you grow, and they want to grow themselves too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I got just less than a handful of friends right now. Dude,
I feel you.
Yeah.
I put it this way. Do you know how many people I know? I have a lot of associates.
Yeah.
I have a lot of associations.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of people.
Right.
I've lived in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York.
Yeah.
I've trained thousands of people. I've had all my friends here and where I grew up. So I know a bunch. But really, like when push comes to shove,
Yeah.
there's that handful you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
It
the
gets
tight
shorter
really.
and shorter.
Yeah. Well, as you get older, you'll understand that, right?
Right, and on top of that, like I always tell people too, like you if you got my mom used to tell me this all the time. If you got all these people in your corner right now,
Yeah,
you're giving too many people too many opinions. And now that you can't think for yourself a lot of the time, because
sure.
I used to be somebody. If anything exciting happened, I used to have to go talk about it. I always wore my my
feelings on your
sleeves.
Yeah, you're just like me again, man.
Yeah, right. And it's a blessing and a curse again.
Yes.
But I like to be transparent a lot. I'm an open book. I don't care. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
because
now
you're accepting the road,
right,
and you take it on the chin,
right,
or you take the
exactly.
praise
Right.
as accordingly.
Right.
So okay, so now let me ask you, like, I was thinking about this question earlier. What was the best advice that you ever got from like a team trainer or a strength coach that you ever received or like implemented into your training routines? I mean, your dad was like amazing. Uh-huh. So was there any strength coaches or any conditioning that you feel that like really was helpful for you?
All of it was. It take a village, because my dad was one of my biggest parts, but it also was my coach. It was teachers. It was I got something from everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was it was a lot of like I said, at first is my dad obviously constantly in my ear
Sure.
about things and stuff like that. But it took a village for real. It was a lot of things from different people. It wasn't from just one person. It was a lot from from my NFL strength and conditioning coach that helped me, Larry.
Okay.
Shout out to Larry.
What's his last name?
His name is Lee, Larry Lee or something like that. I think I always call him by his first name.
All right. So shout out to Larry.
Yeah, Larry. So he a big time trainer in California right now. He coaches. He trains like Travis Kelce and
nice.
Yeah, and
nice.
a whole bunch of other big time athletes and stuff. So he know what he's doing. And he the actual reason why I wanted to be a trainer.
Yes.
Just sort of like building a relationship with him. And
keep. It's a message, right? Keep your eyes wide open, because there's individuals that you associate with that can become lifelong friends that are in a tight huddle that's forever, and the associations that have a time and place.
Because now I'm at a place where I'm just like I try to reserve myself. I'm not too many places, right? I'm just with my wife and my kids, or if I'm working or something.
So what's the what was I gonna say here? Did you have any memorable experiences during your college football, which like caused you to pause and doubt yourself?
Well,
or realize like I'm here and I can do this.
Okay, so like my red shirt freshman, I red shirted, and so that the red shirt was the most important year for me, just because like I was, I didn't want a red shirt at first because I just already missed my whole senior year, and so it wasn't until I met Eric Dickerson. And he talked me kind of into a red shirt. And I was going to red shirt anyways. I don't know why.
So red shirt is for that first year
so
to
that
be.
You're not eligible to play your red shirt year. Your red shirt year, you just take that year to build yourself,
work and build your skills.
And build yourself up. Work on the playbook, learn the playbook, and just getting out a whole year experience.
Get sharp.
Right. And so by the time my red shirt freshman year came, I was ready to go. And so I had a really good. I was a freshman All-American my first year, and it kind of just inclined. So my red shirt junior year is the time where that's when I started football kind of started declining for me as far as my feeling for it. There's a whole bunch of different stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, junior year in Washington State?
Yeah, my red shirt junior year, so my fourth year. Third year playing. It was just a whole bunch of stuff just at the time. Like I was in a real bad toxic relationship at the time with an older woman, and that just by itself was just a mess by itself. And
Sure.
and then
Right.
And along with being a full-time student athlete.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because she had a kid and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I was playing house after that, but I tell people all the time, like, I had blinders on. I got all of this stuff going on at school. I got, all of this stuff. I got interviews, the media. I got a microscope on me at all times, because at this time we like number 8 in the country.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And
what year was that? You were number 8 in the country.
Yeah, we was number 8 in the country like 3 times in 2018. And we was we was a really good team. We only lost 2 games that year.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had a lot of that stuff going on.
So do you think, I'm just going to spitball here, do you think that, even though that relationship took its right road, I'm a big believer in relationships that I try not to put regret on any of my life experiences,
right?
No matter how good or bad. You want to respect that there's a reason why you ended up with that person.
Yeah.
There was either a escape, a comfort, a interest, or just attraction to maybe so opposite of what
That's
you
crazy
right?
you say
so,
that.
so busy, you're so busy and structured, and this is your world. And then it was like, it's almost like an instant little, like, both emotional, physical, even be spiritual growth of like, oh, wow, I can just be here and remember, like, just be me with you. And then I got to jump back into that. But then it's all relative, James, because we grow, right? People change. And it's like, I always tell the story, right? It's like you're 2 ships, right? Floating through the ocean. And all of a sudden you just bump into each other. You bumped into that gal and you're like, hey, what you doing? Oh, okay. For whatever circumstance. Hey, you want to tie up for a little bit? All right, let's tie together.
You're right.
And let's keep floating through this ocean of, like, we never know what's going to happen. But we're like, hey, I feel pretty comfortable, like, taking on whatever the ocean brings, either sunny days or storms. But then what happens, right, is that as you grow, all of a sudden you realize, and you maybe you're less vulnerable, and you make realizations like, wait a minute, this was something, then it's not, and it's trying to tell you it's not anymore by getting so extreme while you're denying, right, what's going on. That's what we talk, right? Anytime you're in a toxic relationship, it's like you're trying to keep it going,
right?
But you're not. You have to, and after push comes to shove, you don't want to get too extreme, right? Where it's like, okay, I got to end this. And so, why were you saying? It's funny that I say that.
Yeah, because like my mom always talking about opposites attract when I was younger, and for some reason I always was dating somebody that was opposite of me, and I was like, I'm trying to go like my wife is just like me, you know what I'm saying? But at that time, my ex, we was complete opposite. It shouldn't even happen, honestly.
Yeah.
But it happened for a reason.
Sure.
And for the longest time, I used to be like, man, like I could have been here if I wasn't in the relationship. But then at the same time, I had to take responsibility for myself. Like I allowed a lot of that stuff to happen.
Yes.
At the time, I was being young and dumb.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we all do.
I was in lust.
Yes.
And when you realize that you was in love, it's a lot of, people that's in that, like in college right now, when you get in a relationship like that, like when I met her when I was 19, she was 24, I think.
Okay.
25. So you can read between the lines on that. And
it is what it is.
Yeah. And so, me being with an older woman, I'm like, oh, damn, this is the type, this is dope, blah, 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 whatever. And it's completely opposite of what I wanted
Right.
to happen.
What happens when we assume, right?
And yeah. So it was a 5 or 6 year, just bad. It wasn't good for neither one of us. And I'm not going to sit here and say I was a saint at all. Like, I didn't do nothing crazy to extreme like people would think, nothing like that. But like, I played my part, and I became a very like angry person. It was always fight or flight mode with us, and it wasn't good at all.
Okay.
And then,
you realized, and you had to.
Yeah, and then we had my son when I was 22, right before I got to the combine. Through all of that stuff, so I'm having all of this stuff going on. I had to choose if I wanted to go back to school for my senior year or go to the declare. But I'm like, first I have my son's mom. She was pregnant at the time, so I'm like, I'm not about to come back with a full blown newborn. Like, no way. I already know how that's gonna end. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the whole, I would have been going to school all day, and then it would have been fights that I would have been gone too much or something like that.
Right.
Knowing what you signed up for, type of thing.
Right.
And you know what? And that, like, I just see how God's been working on my life, just like all the adversity I've been through from high school. And I got to college. He put me through all of that stuff because he taught me patience.
Yeah.
He taught me how to, and I'm still to this day trying to, better myself and grow every single day.
Right. We learn. We learn and grow.
And I used to, like, when I when I was trying to declare, and I had all of that stuff going on, I had all of this, she had a daughter before I got there, and just like, and I'm telling you this because this all played a big part of when I was in college, because it was like I was playing house after I came from school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm helping raise somebody else's kid, essentially. I love her to death, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same time, like...
Well, listen, just pull that screen down just a little bit. Just a little bit. No, it's fine. A little higher. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I'm going to compliment you, okay? Because even though that was like in a moment in time, and God put you in that... Who knows, like, puts us in these situations where... when you say opposites attract, and for what reason? Like, is it to prove and like to show that I'm strong on an underlying unconsciously? I need to prove to myself that I can do what is required of this situation, and that I wouldn't beat yourself up. We always beat ourselves up, of course, right? Looking back and blah blah blah. But I think it's like it was probably both at a time where it was in a state of as much confusion it could have been. And like ultimately, you were in a place that you were pulling out all these qualities of this structure and foundation and stride that your parents gave you, which was a part of supporting this so-called whatever decision making.
Yeah, right.
It ended up somewhere, and then you flutter out the other end, and you're honest with yourself. Yeah. So as much craziness as it seems to be, that was an experience that definitely, right, is a very, I think it's probably, you agree? It's a very strong piece of your life that continues to play a role in, as you move forward, your considerations in life, and how you going to be raising your son, your current situation, whatever, and respecting that. And that's just great awareness that, even though it was confusion and choices, whatever, you were honest with yourself. And if we're not honest with ourselves, we can never be honest with anyone else. No. And we can't be our best person.
No,
you know what I mean? So I mean, so it's honorable that you saw the light, and look at you where you're at now. Man, you seem very happy.
Let me tell you.
And you've got in perspective.
Like, let me tell you, whatever I was missing out on, God definitely gave to me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I met my wife, and we got a 1-year-old beautiful daughter. And
what's your daughter's name? I'm sorry. What's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Katrina.
Katrina, hi Katrina. And, shout out.
Yeah, and then my daughter's name is Alleluia.
Alleluia.
Yeah, so it's like
gosh.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So it's Alleluia.
Oh,
Lola Williams.
How beautiful.
Yeah. And so that means Alleluia means praise the Most High, and then Dami Lola is blessed with wealth.
Oh,
blessed
nice.
with wealth.
Okay.
Yeah. So we try to name her something unique that everybody don't hear all the time.
And we know how we ultimately define wealth.
Yeah.
Right. We know the parameters of all that.
And people don't even realize, like, wealth ain't don't have to mean rich, like, with money.
Exactly.
Like,
It's all those
when
components.
I'm like wealthy and healthy right now, you healthy. We got healthy kids. We healthy. We able to be with each other every single day, and like everything that I'm experiencing now, I just feel like God just been He been working on every area of my life, and my wife is amazing. Like, just what I had before, like, she
good for you.
She's amazing, man.
Nothing like a wonderful woman.
Oh yeah,
oh
for
my
sure.
gosh.
She like, even if I don't like it sometimes, she'll tell me about myself, and like my wife ain't she outspoken when it come to that though.
Okay,
but, like, it'd be stuff that I need sometimes.
Listen, right?
Yeah.
Not to say what you feel and think.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right.
And in all relationships, it just becomes a problem, because if one person is a total communicator, other is apprehensive or cannot, for whatever reason, talk about certain things, you know where that goes, man. After a while, it creates angst and,
Right.
constant collaboration.
Right.
So listen, what advice would you give college athletes
At college,
during their college years and before going pro, if they make it that far?
all right. So first of all, they need to, and this would kind of relate to kids, high school kids too.
Okay.
I would tell both, but I would tell them to find out what else you're good at, because it's not no 100% chance you going to the league. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and especially football with the injuries and stuff.
Especially with the injuries going on,
Right, it can be a career ending
you
and
might
stuff.
think you're good, but then you get to that level and everybody's just as good or 10 times better than you.
Yeah.
Every single time, somebody always better than you. So you gotta keep work and not even worry about what's gonna happen. Like that's we can get caught up in that too. Like, dang, it start coming up to like, am I gonna stay? Am I gonna leave? First, you got, academically, you better be straight on that.
Yes.
But I always tell people to find out what else you're good at, because, like I said,
Or what you're passionate about.
Because
Right.
I'm good at a lot of other things. I just put all my eggs in one basket, and football gave me a whole bunch of things and all of that stuff, and got me to where I got a free education out of it, and I got a whole bunch of life, really good life experiences from football. But I try to tell people, find out what you're good at, what other stuff you're good at, because my parents used to wake up. I mean, not wake up, but watch movies every Friday.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be an actor, be in
Okay,
entertainment,
okay.
and all of that stuff, and drama.
So
and
let's
all of that.
All right. So let's your sister's a dancer and stuff.
Yeah.
And let's get to you as an entrepreneur and an influencer. I want to
Okay.
touch on that a little bit before we wind down here. So what got you into being an influencer, and how's that work?
Well, like I've never been scared of the camera. I did drama in high school.
Oh, there you go.
Just for 2 or 3 years, and then I did drama in college for like a year or two before they got rid of the whole department.
Nice.
And so then, like, I was always good at. I think acting was probably one of my favorite things to be, just as much as football.
Okay.
But
And so
football was just the easiest thing at that time.
Sure. And how do you kind of what do you call it? Obviously you have a natural mindset. You're comfortable with it. How do you what do you call it? Go about your strategy of being an influencer. What do you think that really comes across as an influencer?
Well, so on Instagram, it seemed like it's a whole bunch of stuff that I do. Like my stuff is all over the place, but this is how I tell people I structure it. So like when you on Instagram, you see like if you're a personal trainer, you just see straight just workout stuff, tips,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
With my stuff, like I'm a good like going back to me being putting all my eggs on one basket. Right now, what I'm doing is I love being a dad, so I put out stuff that I do with my kids.
Nice.
Me and my wife do things.
I see. That's really fun stuff.
Yeah, right. Some goofy fun stuff for my wife.
Sure.
I'll post some stuff of me working out and some stuff of me doing this. Like I just did a movie that I did with Billy Blanks. It just came out on Amazon Prime.
And what's it called?
Yeah, it's called The Circuit 4, Faith Fighter.
Circuit 4?
The Circuit 4.
The Circuit 4.
Yeah. And it's on Amazon Prime. And
All
so
right.
I did that 3 years ago, and it just came out.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it. And so when I did that, I was like, because we've done like little stuff. Like me and my family did a game show on Nickelodeon when I was in 2011.
That's fun, man. You're it's almost like your channel or your social media is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle,
right?
And it shows everything. Because when I was in college, I would just post just nothing but workout stuff and all of that stuff, and people would be like, people was like, at first before I met you, you look kind of intimidating. I'm like, I was intimidating?
We're similar in that nature because, I'm I always say my essence, I'm an artist, but my passion is fitness for like 30 plus years. Yeah. But then I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm actually a certified commercial drone pilot. And a photographer, and it's like all that, right? So I didn't want to start a fitness podcast. I didn't want to start an artist podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a lifestyle podcast.
Right.
And I wanted to inspire young people specifically to, try to provide some nuggets and some inspiration, and it can be anybody. So, when Billy Banks came out back that day, I had become a professional probably I was like 4 or 5 years in Chicago when Billy Banks blew up. So I remember all that. So
so me doing all of that and being around it, like my sister I used to go to her acting classes with her, and I was actually, they don't realize they was doing me for free because I was paying attention to all of that stuff.
Well, yeah. You were like,
I was a sponge sucking that all up.
Hey, these are opportunities.
Right.
That what happens when we watch social media, right?
Right.
People are getting these little hits of adrenaline of like what could be, and then what's important is that you have to step away and like focus on you, and then try to find time to make the post of those highlights, because don't think of the other way around. Don't try to make these highlights and not live your life.
That takes me straight back to your question. Like, the kids in college need to realize they just need to be in their own lane. And you can get real caught up on seeing somebody that go to another school that's in your position, that's doing better than you, or they getting talked about a lot.
Yes.
And you can get real caught up in that, and then now you're trying to do something else and change up your style. No, be you, and don't worry about nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Because the people, it's real easy to get caught up in all of that stuff.
That's a great nugget.
Yeah, and so you just need to stay in your own lane. Because I used to do that all the time. I used to be like, dang, like, I know I'm better than him. Like, he getting shown a lot, and I'm not doing this and all of that, whatever. And then I started kind of just, and then, after my junior year, I started kind of just, the love of it just started kind of declining a little bit. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So then by the time I got to the NFL, I just was kind of just like, I'm kind of sick of it, but I'm not going to just waste what I've been doing.
So tell me, tell me briefly about, so you want
me to talk about the combine real quick?
Yeah.
So when I got to the combine, I declared to go to the combine. Mind you, this is 150 Division I colleges out there, right?
And where's this at?
Uh-huh.
Where was this at?
This was
held at where at?
Oh, it was held in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And so it's 150 colleges out. Mind you, it's probably 5 or 6 running backs at all of these colleges at least.
Right. So,
and I'm 1 out of 30 that got picked. Like, it's insane to me.
You got picked, so 1 out of 30.
Yeah, and so that's a crazy blessing. The combine.
What year was that?
This was 2019.
Okay.
But the combine is crazy. People don't even realize. People see the fun part about it, which is on Friday when we doing the drills.
Yes.
We there a whole week mentally exhausted. Like, it's crazy. Like, you sitting there having to talk to coaches all day. You gotta you nervous the whole time because these are interviews you're going into.
Sure.
And like my first interview, it was with
you're a freshman again.
I was
right.
I go in this interview room. I forgot what team it was. I think it was the Bills. I think I went to this. They got the interview room, so they got the team logos on there in this interview room. So you go in there, and you got a chair right by the TV. The whole office and staff is in there.
Yeah.
And the whole staff is in there. You just sitting there like,
and they're like,
so what you thinking what you thinking on this play? And this is highlights of me. What was your favorite play? Why was your favorite play? What'd you read? This, and this. You think you know football until you get up there, and I'm like, damn. And I'm sitting there like, dude, the whole week for real sucked. I was like, dude, this is insane.
The intellectual focus and fortitude,
the testing you had to do,
right?
It's just like you mentally, and then not on top of that. So like, don't go to the combine and you had like some type of surgery back then because you get examined in on everything in a million times. You go there, you got 32 rooms with every team. And they go and everybody check you. All right, his ligaments is this.
Oh,
this,
right.
And you're in front of all of these people. And then when it was interesting,
it's almost like a cattle call for sure. Like prodding you and putting you through like a line.
So we all in a line.
Yeah.
And then one of the craziest parts is when we was going up there, we was getting measured and all of that stuff. We was getting measuring us. We go up there, we in shirtless, and it's just tights on. We go up there freaking like a damn auction.
Yeah.
We go up there. I'm not even playing. You go up there, you're on a stage. you got like 3-4 things you go to. Like you take your size, your weight, your height, and all of this stuff, and you got a big ass crowd of coaches. Then over here, a big ass crowd is just media, and then other people.
They make it. They almost make it a spectacle and to almost market it. Yeah,
it's quiet. All right, James Williams.
Yeah,
Washington State. Walk up there, and at this time, I know a lot of people don't know the story, but I had to take a piss this time, right? And I tried to be as tall as I can. I only held it because some people was like, if you're trying to show them that you want to be, I wanted to be 200 pounds at the time.
Yeah,
and I was between 198, 197.
So you just tried to show yourself as big as possible.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that because I had to piss so bad. I didn't realize it was gonna take that long. So I'm sitting there. The dude in front of it was 2 dudes in front of me that I had to take a piss too. We was all talking amongst each other. It was
my
like,
God!
If you're trying to make yourself heavier, hold your piss so it can weigh you down.
Oh,
I
you're
don't know
funny.
why. I don't know
God,
why we thought that. The dude in front of me ran off a stage. He ran off a stage before he got to get measured and all that stuff.
He could piss
so
himself.
I seen that, and then I see everybody go, all right. They start writing it down. I'm like, damn, no. I can't do it now. Because I thought about doing that.
Oh, right.
So I'm not going to be able to do it. Damn.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, I'm going to have to grind it. So now I'm walking with a hunch in my back because I had to piss so bad. Like, as soon as you let it go, it's coming out.
So after
we had on purple tights. So if you wet a little bit as raps, everybody's seeing it. So we get there. I'm like an inch shorter than I'm supposed to be because I'm hunched down. And he's like, you got to straighten up. I was like, I cannot straighten up right now. I'm sorry. Like, we get on the weight scale. I'm still going 198, and I'm like, damn.
You wanted to be 200.
I want to be 200 because then when all of that stuff matter.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So after that experience, you ended up going to a team?
Yeah, I ended up going undrafted, but I had a draft party.
Okay. When you say you went undrafted,
I went undrafted. I mean, you didn't get drafted.
Okay.
But I did get signed. But this is how it worked, though. But I was with an agency they wasn't certified agents.
Got it.
I found out, and so they was doing stuff. They had me calling the team. I'm like, why am I calling the team?
Okay, so when you say they weren't certified agents, were they kind of straggler agents trying to take advantage of like saying this potential, like, oh, if they happen to miss this guy, I'd like to represent him and bring him up and weed him back in? Is that what that works?
The only reason why I think so, but I can't tell you. It's been a while now, so I don't know what their intentions was behind it. But I do know
to make money, see talent, right? Opportunities.
It's kind of like it was only one other person in the agency, and the person I signed to was Eric Dickerson. He's a Hall of Famer. And the only reason why I signed to him is because he's a Hall of Famer. And
what do you mean you signed to him?
I like as him being my agent, I had to sign.
Oh, Eric Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson. Yeah.
Okay.
And so he a Hall of Famer, and I think he was a vice president of Rams. I think at that time.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I'm for sure getting he got a lot of pull right now.
Well, of course.
And so when the draft day came, they had me. It was another middleman, and he would have me. He said, "Oh, you need to call the Chiefs and to call the Saints or whatever." Yeah. I'm like, "Why am I calling them? That's your job." And they couldn't do it. And I couldn't understand why.
Okay, so do you think was this part and partial to your attitude toward the game itself when you said you started like pulling away from you wanted to be doing this?
It's just because then I started having the first coach I told you I ever had. He took advantage of me when I was there, and he was.
What do you mean take advantage?
So long story short, he had a thing that he tried to start as far as like some type of it was some, I forgot what he was.
It was a scheme.
It was a scheme, and I was built around it. But he was working on it from when I was in college already. He had me come over for dinner one time. He said, "I'm gonna give you 10% of my company."
Okay. I'm sure. Yeah. Could you just imagine how many of those people are out there? Those conversations with people, the kids that are like.
I tell people, it really have a very great supporting cast. I would tell both sides.
You need somebody even out of your realm to be like you to throw shit by so they can like give a perspective where so they're not consumed in emotionally or whatever.
And I trusted people too much.
Yes. Hey, listen. That's that when you say optimism in open sleeve and like it's a blessing and a curse.
Because now I'm in a situation. I was just in a situation where I was about to go into business with somebody.
Yes.
And he was lying about stuff.
Okay.
And usually back then I would have ignored all of that, and I would have kept doing it and just hope for the best. Yes. Now, if I got any gut feeling about nothing, I'm not taking it.
Hey, listen.
And I ain't scared to say no.
That's just a great message in terms of what we know and understand, right? The number of years we're on this earth,
right?
Our experiences, we take it on, right? We grow, and you see more and more, and you still never want to discount people's potential opportunity to explore, right? Pass, but ultimately things show themselves, right? The reality and a legitimate situation. So I like to run my life going, I'm still an optimistic person. I'll always be, because I don't care to live to be a pessimist.
Right.
And I will flow through life and hopefully meet other optimists and other true people that over time and enough like negative experiences, be able to navigate, pick and choose what's worth taking a risk on and chance when you're the right people. Just like a good woman, right?
Right.
Okay, am I seeing this clearly? Do I need to take this challenge to what degree at this time? So you end up, after being signed with Eric Dickerson, when did you realize that, like, okay, all of a sudden you are now not much that into it, and how did you get here?
Well, I got to a point where I was just like, I got to the NFL, and I got cut from the Chiefs like after a couple of months, and around this time I pulled my hamstring in pro day, and so I went to the rookie camp, recovering from that.
Was it the same hamstring as the ACL?
No, yeah, actually it was.
Okay,
yeah, it was, and so I pulled my hamstring, and so people don't realize like having a hamstring injury that lingers. Especially when you ain't got no time to really heal it. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you got time, it's fine. But I had no time for no time to be just having room for error at this time. Because you're a rookie. People come and go every day in the league.
Right.
Like, there's so many dudes that was sitting next to me that wasn't there. I had a different locker mate every day for a couple of weeks.
I bet.
It's crazy. And so like I had no room for error. And I was
very transient.
Yeah. So when I got signed to them, I went undrafted and I got signed to the Chiefs. I was there for about a couple of months. The experience I had there was crazy just because like a lot of the guys that I seen growing up and watching in high school when they was in college, like the Honey Badger, you know what I'm saying? Like he the first dude that I ran into when I was at the Chiefs as far as a vet goes.
What's his name, Honey Badger?
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu.
Okay.
And he was one of the dudes, when he's at LSU, I used to watch this dude all the time. And I bump into him.
Yeah.
And he already, probably his fifth, sixth year in the league, seventh year in the league at the time. And I'm just like, dang, dude, this is insane. And then watching Sammy Watkins, watching Patrick Mahomes, talking to Travis Kelce, all of these dudes that's just like big time.
Right.
And then seeing how they work and seeing their work ethic and all that stuff, that was driving me and all of that stuff. But, getting cut is very discouraging because like think about this, you've been doing something half your life and then you get to the highest point and then you get it cut, you getting fired from a job you already know how to do, and so after that a couple of days ago I flew. I was living in Idaho at the time with my my ex and my son at the time, and I got called by the Washington Redskins at the time. It was Redskins still.
Yeah.
And I went there. I had a workout. They said it was all right, but I didn't make it. So they gave me, mind you, I'm going all the way. All of these is on the East Coast.
Sure, you're traveling.
I'm traveling, like far.
For opportunities.
Yeah, it's for opportunities. So I'll leave. They'd fly me back. And these are all-day flights, by the way. And then I got home. I didn't even unpack yet. I get a call from Green Bay. All right. So it was like, can you get another flight? Can you get a flight out tomorrow at 9:00? Leave tomorrow. The next day, I'm there. I'm there. I work out. They like it. I'm there a couple hours. All right, we're gonna go a different direction. All right, cool. Got back on the flight the same day. Go right back same day. 2 days later, the Patriots called me. I go all the way to Boston.
Goodness.
And they liked me, but they already had James White and all of these dudes that was on the team.
Got it.
And They said we're going a different direction. I'm like, damn. So then I'm like,
they had to go through their paces and
they go through
their reps
you know?
to make sure they're good and square.
So then I get to Salt Lake City, the city before I go to in Utah, right before I go back to Idaho. And so Detroit calls me and he was like, we want you to come in tomorrow at 8:00. And I said, hold on, I'll call you right back. I called the middleman.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going tomorrow. I've been on. I got constant jet lag. I done got cut 3-4 times already.
Right. Nobody.
I was like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not going to.
So did that kind of like seal the deal for your
so
in your
head? Like, just go and just see. So I went. I stayed in Salt Lake. Yeah, I stayed in Salt Lake because I would have had to fly back to Salt Lake and then go to with Detroit.
Yeah.
And so I went to Salt Lake to a hotel, whatever. I got up in the morning, left. And a running back that was supposed to be going there missed his flight, so I was the only one that worked out. So I had a really good workout, made the team. No, I take this back. Right before I went to Detroit, I went to Indianapolis. Actually,
the Colts.
The Colts made the Colts. I had practice for 2 days. A defensive lineman got hurt, and it was a numbers game thing. So I just got picked up. They had to let me go to get another D lineman to come on the team. So I'm like, oh my
goodness. So different channels of like different.
And so I had just made the team 2 days ago, and I'm not doing bad or nothing.
Right. And just some circumstance.
Yeah, circumstance.
Was that God?
Yeah. Yeah, right. And so I got cut. I went back home, and then I was at Salt Lake, and then that's what
that's when you said to Detroit. You're like,
so
I'm done.
So I went to Detroit, and I made the team.
Yes.
And I actually played in the game.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a hurdle and everything. It was super dope.
What year?
It was 2019. This is all in 2019.
Oh, that's awesome,
all
dude.
of this. So then COVID was happening around that time. So right after that, they wasn't picking up nobody. They wasn't picking up nobody from outside if you wasn't playing already. So I'm like, God. So now I'm looking at it as a guy kind of closed this door, and I kept trying to force it back open, and maybe not. But then I took it because then I was trying to trust my body. Like my son was just born, so being away from him was,
such a transition of multiple factors, so and situations. Many things.
So I was like, you know what, I'm not. And so then I was gonna do the XFL when it came out the first time.
Yeah.
And I went to go practice for them. I went to work out for them in Seattle, and they ended up canceling the season or whatever. Yeah. And so I didn't make no team or whatever. So then I just was like, damn, I need to find something else to do. So now I get back in my entrepreneur bag. I started training kids. I started with off of 4 kids. I was at a little school in the park doing. Now
this is here? This
is in Idaho.
Idaho.
I was living in Idaho at this time.
Yeah.
Because right after college, that's where I lived. But anyways, I started with off of 4 kids, just teaching them strength training. I mean, not strength training,
mobility, footwork,
agility, all of that stuff. And it was my own little thing. I was charging a little bit for it. And so then I was right in the middle of a neighborhood. People would drive by and all that stuff, see me doing, what is this? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, right.
And then it turned into this big thing because it's not a big place, but I was the only person doing this at the time.
Wonderful.
I kind of got in a sweet spot because people didn't want their kids just being at home all day. They wanted them to do a little activity. So
familiar, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So so they come to me a couple hours a day, and I made a business out of it, and I was making probably $5-6 a month. I had over 50 plus clients, kids, and then I got into Vertimax training, and then I started training kids off Vertimax, and then it turned into this.
Look at that, all those pieces.
And so and so like I started helping kids, and I've developed a real passion for like I didn't want to play football myself, but me teaching and giving the kids my. Because like I said, I'm a well-rounded person. Like they didn't ever drag their feet when they came to me. I made it fun,
nice,
and made it so like they like to see highlights too. So I like you. Like I'm like, show me what you've been doing in the game. They show me what they're doing in the game, and I'm like, all right, this is the drill you just did. Yeah. I show them what drill they doing inside the game.
Okay.
And then it makes they're visual learners.
Now, how'd you get back to Dayton? And when did you get back to Dayton?
I got back to Dayton.
Here in Dayton.
Yeah, I got back to Dayton in 2022.
I shouldn't say back to Dayton. How'd you end up
Actually,
here?
I'm not even saying back to Dayton.
Yeah.
So I met my wife so me and my wife got big Tik Tok followings.
Okay.
And so this is kind of like 3 or 4 months after I was single when I broke up. My wife had been already, single probably about 3 years. I think she said. So she had time to heal from whatever she was in and all that stuff. I didn't really.
And that's how you guys met on your TikTok?
Yeah, we met on TikTok, and so I was on live, and she got on there, and I had a whole bunch of people on there, women on there, all that stuff, and she was the only one that was kind of standing out. It was the way it would happen.
And she's from here.
She was in Dayton, and I was in Idaho at the time.
She was born here?
Yeah, born and raised in Dayton, and then I was in Idaho, and so I messaged her. She messaged me back then and ghosted me for a day.
And she, of course.
Yeah, and then she got back to me or whatever. We got on a phone call, FaceTime. Then after that, we was on FaceTime every single day. We was on FaceTime every single day for like.
Okay. So
so we in FaceTime or whatever, and so it took we talked for 3 months until I flew down here. I never flew down here to see a girl.
Sure.
So I flew down here. We had a great time for that week, and then we went
instant chemistry.
Yeah, instant chemistry. And then that whole next year, we went long distance the whole year, and then I drove back to California after Idaho. Okay. I drove back to California for the summer, just to get away from just drama, and stupid stuff that was going on with my son's mom or whatever, and me and my wife was talking. And I was like, I might as well just move down there because she was moving down. She was living by herself here, and so I was like, you know what? I mean, I was living with my parents at the time.
Okay.
I just had moved because I was trying to figure out all the stuff.
So you're ready for a new adventure, a new environment.
I was a celebrity trainer at the time in California. My coach got me hooked up with this guy. His name is he's not here no more though, but his name was Eric. It's Eric the trainer. He was like a big time. Celebrity trainer in Hollywood.
Got it.
It was like 7 or 8 of us.
Working with him.
Working with him.
Yeah.
His private gym.
Got it.
And that was a super cool experience too, because he worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger and all of these big time bodybuilders back then. And so he taught me a whole different way of training. He allowed me to be a physique trainer. Yeah. So he was teaching me all these different ways, whatever. And so in 2022 in September, it was September 24th, I think. I moved down here with my wife. And just from there, I kind of I sacrificed a lot of stuff because I had some stuff going, and I just was like, you know what? Sure. We was already engaged at the time. We got engaged after like 7-8 months.
Nice.
And I just knew it was just completely different from what I had before. My wife, like I said, my wife is amazing. So
nice.
I moved down here, and it's been rocky because, like, financially, I'm a trainer. You know how it is. Like, if you go somewhere brand new, you got to reinvent yourself.
Passion,
you gotta,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But
you got listen, James. You have you definitely have the story's awesome. Obviously, we welcome you here in Dayton, man.
Yeah, it's
a pleasure that you roll through here. I had my experiences all through California and stuff, but sometimes we step away, we walk, we go to adventures, and this is your new adventure. This is where you're at now. So I look forward to exploring. I know we've become pretty good friends. I would think.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to exploring the opportunities we have amongst us. And again, I'll say this again, like at Absolute Fitness. I mean. I think Mike was just on as a guest. We're going to have that episode airing pretty soon. Michael Mormon. Shout out to Michael Mormon. We're the shit.
Yeah.
So there ain't no doubt. So I look forward to expanding both my potential influence, my years experience in training, and to create even more opportunities for myself and those, as I mentioned, you. So we'll definitely talk more. Listen, any kind of closing thoughts you want to share with the audience? Because, dude, great ride. It's really been great to hear this story. Mm-hmm. It's been awesome. Any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I'll just tell people to stay close to God. Just make sure you walking with Him every single day, and not have. Don't expect nothing to happen. When I say that, I mean just don't have no expectations as far as like, because if you got expectations about how everything gonna work out in your own head,
Right.
like I said, you leaning on your own understanding. So then you
Right.
gotta trust in God in everything that you do, and that's
Right.
how I've been living my life.
Walking sure,
Right.
being present,
Right, but just stay
honoring the
present and what
past.
don't compare yourself to nobody else. It's real easy to do that on Instagram. Just realize that
Right.
everybody that's on Instagram ain't got what they saying they got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I've been on that side.
Yeah.
Just like if jewelry, people think people in the NFL got $100,000. A lot of people don't. They're not gonna
Right.
question it.
It
but-
goes back
Yeah.
to the message that we'll leave them for today.
Right.
Is get busy with your life. Okay. Share your highlights, just your highlights.
Right.
Don't focus out there.
Right.
Share. Don't focus on sharing.
Right.
Focus on the work at hand.
Right.
And then those highlights will speak for themselves.
Right.
So James, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate
All right.
you, man.
All right. All right, kids. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Professor. Professor.